It is 6 o'clock. Good morning. I'm Will Bowling. The Titans hit the practice field for the first time in training camp today. And yesterday, DeAndre Hopkins had his first press conference as a Tennessee Titan.
It helps a lot, especially someone in my situation going in year 11. I wanted to be somewhere around people that I'm comfortable with. Vrabel and I, we've always kept communication over the years. When I first got to Arizona, he was one of the first coaches to congratulate me and was one of the first coaches to criticize a bad game that I had as well. That wasn't my coach, and that's what I respect about Vrabel.
There's DeAndre Hopkins on his new head coach, Mike Vrabel, who also met with the media yesterday, adding that Hopkins will miss the first day or two of camp due to personal reasons. You can hear more sound from St. Thomas Sports Park today at 8:50 when General Manager Rand Carthon addresses the media. We'll carry that live right here on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone. Off and running on a Wednesday morning, it is RKW, a full house and a full studio right here on 104.5 The Zone. The Tennessee Titans are back on the practice field playing American rules tackle football today. We made it, ladies and gentlemen. Football is back with our 11-year NFL veteran, Vol for Life, Ramon Foster,
Yay.
Our capitalized J journalist, Kayla Anderson, back in the building. Jackson Williams is our producer, filling in for Robert Walsh today. My name is Will Bowling. It is Wednesday, July the 26th. Football will be played at St. Thomas Sports Park today. How are we doing?
Good.
Yeah.
Well, welcome back, Kayla.
I'm here, minus my computer, but I'm here. That's what happens when you travel. You get scatterbrained.
You do get
It's life.
scatterbrained, especially when you have to log off to you. You be like, you know what? I almost left my headphones when I came back because I travel with my backpack and I use it for work too. Even without my headphones, it's scary. I'm gonna be honest with you. Or what do
You'd have
you call
to
it?
use one of these in
Like,
here.
and it's
Spares.
probably short circuited and everything. So yeah,
Probably.
we don't want that. We don't want that at all. But yeah, good time, though, Kayla.
Yeah, I was telling you guys both before we started the show, Savannah, a interesting town. I will say it gets a lot of rave reviews, and rightfully so. There are some really cool spots there. The eating is really good. If you're going to go there, make sure to kind of fast the week before because you're going to gain about 10 pounds.
Yeah.
But yeah, good seafood and everything. There's a street that's just full. I mean, you can walk for miles, and it's just full of bars and restaurants. But, it is old. It is very, 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 very old. So, there's smells that come out of there, just like New Orleans. You got to expect it. But no, it's a cool city for the history. I think for the most part, I learned so much about the history there.
Yeah.
If you go there, go on a couple tours, maybe go on the riverboat. And then if you like to party, well, then you can just live the night away.
Savannah. It kind of
Savannah.
rolls off.
It's sort of like molasses, just kind
Yes.
of spit aloud for miles.
Savannah. I got a sweatshirt, though, for my remembering my time there. So.
Yeah. Savannah, I've heard so much good about it, and I thought about going to for a little while, and I was just like, well, let me ask Kayla.
Until I gave you.
Yeah, and your description is kind of what I thought it was going to be. Just like, yeah, it's cool. It's cool. But, like, people I've, talked to about, except for one person, has been like, yeah, I love it. Oh, you got to go. My buddy Alejandro, because he went to Ranger School in Georgia, they go to Savannah. He was just like, all right, certain portions of the city is the city. And I was just like, okay. But everybody claims it's beautiful, though.
It's cool.
It's
It is cool. It's different. If you have a chance to go, it might not be the top of my list, but I think it's cool that Everybody should check it out if they can.
That may be the most fairest description of it ever. Okay, I
Most
appreciate
fairest?
it. Fairest, yes.
Most fair.
And I knew it was wrong. I continued it on with.
We'll see if we can capitalize your J at 7 o'clock.
Well,
See?
I'm surprised you haven't been for the fact it's a very big kind of bachelor. Like, there's a lot of bachelor parties that go there. Like,
Really?
Yeah.
Not bachelorette parties too, but more so you saw like groups of guys.
Not really.
Because you saw, they've got the bars and the beer and all that. So I feel like it's a place where a lot of these bachelor parties like to go.
My fraternity did their formal there the year before I joined.
Okay.
So I was 1 year away. Yeah. Busy running my life away.
I guess we have Savannah here in Nashville, don't we? Because everybody just loves to flock here too, huh?
Hey, that's funny because people ask you where you're from down there,
Yeah.
and you're like, Nashville. I'm like, oh, yeah, Nashville, yeah. I was like, we're pretty much you times 50.
Pretty much.
Literally.
You
Just
know?
without the ghosts.
Yeah, without the ghosts.
I couldn't.
There's
The
bodies
ghosts
under
don't
the
exist.
tarmac.
It's okay.
Huh?
Where you fly in.
Okay, well,
Yeah, they buried them a long time ago, and they're still under there.
wow.
Huh?
They're everywhere. Bodies are everywhere.
Just don't land too hard. Gotta land soft.
No,
I
right?
have a bone coming up out
Don't
of the
shake 'em.
tarmac. Golly, are you serious?
Sounds like something
Yeah.
Michael Oher's tutor told him during his recruitment.
Yeah.
Can't go to Savannah.
Can't
Yeah.
You don't want to play at Tennessee? Well, you don't want to go to Savannah because there's bodies under the rock.
Exactly.
615-737-1045, the number. Coming up this morning, we'll give you some sound from St. Thomas Sports Park yesterday as Mike Vrabel and DeAndre Hopkins meet with the media, and we call this the opening ceremonies of training camp, which officially begin today. The eternal flame lit at St. Thomas Sports Park. Rand Carthon meets with the media at 8:50. We will carry portions of that here on the show this morning as he has his first pre-training camp press conference. Say that 5 times fast. As the Tennessee Titans general manager. And Rhett Bryan joins us at an hour. Early visit with Rhett today as he gets down to the practice field to cover that presser and, of course, the rest of practice as well. But congratulations to us all. We made it.
We made
did.
it. We
Yeah.
did.
This is our first full training camp together.
It is.
There's been lots of firsts on this show, being that we've not been together yet a year. Almost coming on that. So this will be, the first training camp.
First full cycle, which is crazy. We're almost to a year anyway. It seemed like that's kind of blown by in general because you came first game of the season, right? So we're about a month away from
Would
that.
be
We're
about
close.
September-ish?
Yeah, we're close.
October.
October?
Yeah.
Beginning of October.
6th, wasn't it?
Something like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. I told Will yesterday, as I think we were around, I was like, this summer I feel like it's kind of breezed on by. Because even
With
during
no
SEC,
breeze.
yesterday was fine.
Was
though.
it?
I actually went on
It
the,
got hot in the afternoon.
I was going to say, I got back. I was
Well-
like, dang.
I was sitting by the pool. I was overheating quite a bit.
Were you? Well, in the evening.
Where were you?
Well, I was at home. Well, this is also about like 7:40 at night.
When you got outside
I
by
went,
yourself?
yeah, I did. Look, when you have a
I know,
career that
I
puts
know.
you outside all the time, I pick and choose when I'm going
Yeah.
outside. All right, my youngest is playing football. I'm watching from my truck in the AC. Okay, but about 7:40 last night, I let Zeus out, and it seemed like it had finally
Cooled
cooled down. And I told Keisha, like, Keisha, you want to go sit out on the back porch for a little while? Man, I ended up smoking like a quick stogie. I chilled out, no
Yeah.
bourbon, no anything. I was just like, this is pleasant. I hit up Savage, and he was doing the exact same
Same thing.
thing. And I was just like, yeah, this might be do it.
This might be do it.
That's all it was,
Might be
Kayla.
do it season.
So it was hot at about like 5 to 7. yesterday.
Before
Whoa.
that, no,
Oh,
I was
before
out
that.
between 2 to 4.
Yes.
And it was like in the mid to low 90s. It
Oh,
was like 94.
see?
Yeah,
I
so-
flew in with a sweatshirt because I have to wear them in the airport.
Yeah.
I get so cold, and I stepped out, and I was like, "What?" I'm like rolling it up to like my
Ain't that the
sleeves.
worst?
Yeah.
Oh, that's the worst. I hate that.
615-737-1045, the number. We've got a Justin Herbert extension to get to this morning. We've got Brock Purdy back on the practice field in San Francisco while one of his defensive stars holds out for a new contract. And we've got football to watch today. We will go through some of the things we've covered the last 48 hours with Kayla as well. We did had a good conversation yesterday on player most needing a big training camp.
Yeah.
And it feels like talking with Rhett Bryan and about that in the green room yesterday after the show, we could have said about 10 or 15 other names we didn't even talk about. So we'll get Kayla's thoughts on that later on in the show. But exciting day.
It is.
Yeah, it is. I cannot believe it's here. I'm just preparing mentally, you guys.
Yeah.
It's always like, how do you get through this heat? At least it's early in the morning, but you mentally prepare yourself, just like these players do.
Yeah. You know what? They don't have water stations for reporters out there, do they?
Yeah.
They do?
They've
Not
got coolers
stations,
full
but
of water
coolers.
bottles.
Yeah,
Oh.
and I made sure to bring a couple, you guys,
Yeah.
Essentia or whatever y'all like to drink.
Yeah.
Load up.
Load up.
If
yeah,
you're a fan
hydrate.
going and you won the lottery, literally, they did a lottery.
Y'all gonna have to break that down to me at some point. Like, they have a lottery for practice attendance?
Yes.
They did.
They
Yeah.
did.
So
It's
they
already done.
pick their people.
I want those people to sell their tickets too. You got to put your name
I
on
don't
the
think
list.
it's a money thing. Like you probably get
Yeah.
it when you get there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right, for sure. I think that is the rule, though, is like if you get invited to camp, it's free, because if you charge, people can do what they want to there, which means they can record.
I don't know.
I feel like that's what we were told in Pennsylvania, because ours is open every single day.
Yeah.
And the contingency is you can't charge, because if you
'Cause
charge, then you're able to,
That makes that would
Record.
make sense.
yeah.
Former Texans first-round pick Titus Howard has reached an agreement with the Houston Texans on a 3-year, $56 million extension. Texas GM Nick Caserio working early this morning in Central Time at 6:10 in the morning, getting an extension done.
Getting it done. I ain't even heard of this tight end before. What's his name again?
Tackle,
Tackle.
not a tight end. Titus Howard
Titus Howard. Wow. Fascinating.
plays opposite Laramie Tunsil.
Yeah.
Okay.
Look this one up right here. I'm absolutely I don't know him as well right here is what I'm saying.
Oh yeah, I saw. Was it CJ Stroud got his deal?
Yes,
while I was
yesterday.
away. Yeah.
I think last night or yesterday afternoon.
Was it?
Yeah.
They're all knocking them out right now. It seems like
I
whenever
know.
this,
I saw that.
I think they're honestly like fighting over like $500 at each slot or something like that. Like $1,000 at each slot.
Yeah.
Like that's all they're fighting over at
It's
this
not
point.
the money; it's the full guarantees at the back end of the deal. That's what
Yeah.
Mike Giannetti told us on Monday.
Yeah, it's just super
The full
fascinating.
guarantee.
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
615-737-1045, the number. Coming up, Mike Vrabel met with the media yesterday, as did DeAndre Hopkins. And Mike Vrabel talked about DeAndre Hopkins having a prior engagement that will keep him away from practice this first day or two. Interesting stuff there that we'll dive into coming up next. Plus, DeAndre Hopkins on his connection to Mike Vrabel, and D-Hop on leading the wide receiver room, approaching that as a challenge when it comes to playing with Traylon Burks and the rest of the Titans' young wide receivers. 615-737-1045. Training camp is back. Kayla's back. The Titans are back. Vibes are good on a Wednesday morning.
Yeah.
Sound from St. Thomas Sports Park yesterday. Coming up next on our boat, Kayla and Will.
It's Ramon Foster from My PhD Weight Loss. I'm here to tell you guys I have my breakfast here this morning. I actually have one of my protein shakes on me this morning, but also I have my coffee. I got my water. It's a process to how you go about this, and I'm here to tell you my coach Rachel has guided me the best. Down over 65 pounds, having the ability to feel better. Will keeps telling me I need to stop running, but I'm like, Will, I feel better. My inflammation is a whole lot better, and that's because I've lost a lot of weight here. And I'll tell you this, on average, most male clients lose between 3 to 5 pounds a week, and female clients lose between 2 to 3 pounds a week, depending on how you go about it. But I'm here to tell you there is someone there to help guide you throughout this entire process. If this is something you've been thinking about, whether you want to drop 10 pounds, 20, 30, 50, or 100 pounds, go visit My PhD Weight Loss. They have a system in place that works, and it works specifically for you. My plan isn't like the next person's plan, and I promise you, you will be comfortable in it. It is understanding, and it works. Again, visit myphdweightloss.com and be sure to tell them that Ramon sent you.
Welcome to your Wednesday morning on Ramon, Kayla, and Will, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. Whole crew is here. Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson. I'm Will Bowling. 615-737-1045. If you want to join in on the Titans training camp discussion, and we were talking about earlier, but the weather today for Titans training camp practice 1, 92 degrees expected. So, yep.
Do you have the feel
Groundhog
like?
Day. I don't.
You don't? All right. All good. No
know where to
problem,
find
bro.
those
Feels like.
I know. That's the one that used to just mind play me. Was that, well, man, it's 89, but it feels like 97.
100.
Back in the day when your coaches would go under a tree to take the heat index reading, that way you could still practice.
Yeah.
Oh, ooh.
Is that what it
That's
is?
tricky.
So we would watch like the football coaches do that and everything. Like everyone, like that's just what you do. You go in the shade to take the heat index reading. That way you're still allowed to practice.
Ah.
So the heat index was over like 100 or something, you couldn't practice.
Yeah, it's 101.
Sneaky.
It's 101. Trust
There you
me. Yeah, I know. That one's tough.
Not breaking any news to you.
No, not at all.
Well, let's get to sound from St. Thomas Sports Park yesterday. First from Mike Vrabel talking about DeAndre Hopkins and him not being there for the beginning of practice. This was Vrabel yesterday.
Well, obviously, it's a proven player. It's a proven player that's had production year after year. The veteran presence that's seen a lot of different defenses. He's got experience in our offense. Some of the system is going to have changed a little bit, but I would say that he's got some familiarity with it. Some familiarity with me, with Timmy, and some of our coaches. So I'm going to ask him to do the same thing that we ask everybody else to do, which is to come in, be attentive, work hard, help the team in multiple ways. And I'm confident he'll do that. I would tell you this, that when we signed him, he mentioned that he wanted to communicate that he had a prior engagement that he'll be taken care of here in the next couple of days. So, I would say that there may be a day or two that he won't be here, not to alarm anybody, but appreciate him letting us know that on the onset, and when we signed him. So, we do that with all of our players that communicate the things that come up.
So there's Mike Vrabel yesterday.
Yeah.
Somebody was a keyboard genius.
I was going to say, we have to
it might
teach
be Jim.
the media
Or
in our
Glenn.
market to not just...
I think it's Glennon.
Somebody is out here playing the drums for freaking Guns N' Roses out here. Just
Yeah, it's
Well,
not
it's-
Jimmy. Never mind. It's not Jimmy.
They were getting to it right there.
ridiculous.
All right, I wasn't the only one that heard that.
Goodness
Okay,
sakes. These boomers and their keyboards. I'm just kidding.
but for real, that was good.
I also had to tell JG to wipe his screen down.
Oh,
because it was
I'm a
extremely dirty.
big culprit of that. I don't.
real.
Well, because you're behind them, you see everything.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, that makes sense. That makes sense, man. Vrave seems as excited as he could be about this through the words. I guess Vrave's thing is, man, D-Hop is here for a mission, and I know what type of player he is, and even D-Hop yesterday kind of acknowledged, well, I know what kind of player I am and what I can bring to a team. I love when a player can know their worth and know their impact on the team and whatnot, and very baseline and the stuff that he had to say, but Vrabel was too. I enjoyed seeing and hearing just the understanding of where this team is now. I think most people who follow this team feel more comfortable than they have in years past, and Vrabel, I think, being the first one to speak, kind of showed everybody the exact same thing.
Yeah, I'm curious, and I don't think we'll ever find this answer out, but I am curious of how much this was in the works early on, because again, he said over and over, we wanted guys who wanted to be here.
Yes.
And it's almost like D-Hop, in a way, said, hey, y'all curious about me coming there? I'm just wondering how it all went down, because from the get-go, after the draft, when they said, we'll figure it out, we're going to figure out the wide receiver room, don't you worry.
Oh.
They seem so confident, Rand and Mike Vrabel, that they had a plan.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, you got to work through things, but it's almost like they knew that there was a good chance he was going to come early on.
Yeah.
And now here he is here. But I will say, when Vrabel added in voluntarily that D-Hop would not be here for a couple days because of some prior engagements, I will be the first to raise my hand to say, all right, people have been wondering about the practice thing with him, and it was addressed so many times yesterday. But it did pop into my mind, like, that's kind of funny, though, that is the first thing we kind of hear about when that's the thing that everybody's talked about. But again, it seems to be more of a hyped up thing.
Yeah.
Like D-Hop was saying, than not in terms of him practicing or lack of practicing.
I would probably say that's probably topic number one when you speak about D-Hop has been the practice etiquette and habits that he'd have and stuff like that. Vrabel, I know for sure they're going to be a squad that kind of wants you to be on the practice field. And again, he kind of acknowledged that yesterday guys have their plans. And he said D-Hop has his and Derek has his and Harold. And he went through the entire list of guys that will have similar practice schedules on how he take care of guys. That's the beauty about technology advancing in football these days too, is you know how much players' workloads are with the GPS systems that they have on their shoulder pads and stuff like that. And just now, sports and conditioning trainers know the difference on like, hey, guys need rest just as much as they need work too.
How often did you have teammates who would need a day or two for something at the beginning of camp that was like off the field?
Off the field? Like personal issues and stuff? Oh, it happens all the time. It could be a pregnancy. It could be honestly like a court case, like nothing crazy, but just a situation that they have to handle. D-Hop's situation could be him relocating his mom. You know, his mom has a disability that she has also. It's been documented also. But it could be small things. And more times than not, coaches are understanding because you're friggin' human, you know?
Well, just like we come into our jobs, right? And we had stuff planned or whatever. You take a holiday off and you come in here and you're like, hey, letting y'all know, won't be here for Thanksgiving. Yeah. But you're just joining a team. Like, it's kind of like, okay, cool. Yeah, we'll figure it out.
Only time I ever saw ruffle feathers is this, and we'll not name the scenario or the situation, but a guy had a medical procedure the day before camp was supposed to start. Oh. And in that, didn't tell the team doctors, didn't tell the team coaches.
Michael Thomas?
No.
Good guess.
Didn't that happen?
It was something similar, man, but it was just like he went and took care of something without the medical staff and coaching staff knowing about it. It was like, bro, you really doing this before camp? Dude had a monster year, though. So
interesting.
Yeah, that was the only time I ever saw it ruffle feathers. One time.
Okay.
But more times than not, coaches don't care.
And now Brian McFadden's a great show guest for us. I'm just kidding.
We're just guessing over here.
Well, DeAndre Hopkins also spoke to the media yesterday and talked about leading a young wide receiver room. And we made the comment when he signed that you're essentially getting a player for 2 years, $26 million. You're also getting a coach for 2 years and $26 million. And this was DeAndre Hopkins on that element of becoming a Tennessee Titan.
Approach that as a challenge to help those guys. Obviously, you know, I had someone like Andre Johnson, Larry Fitzgerald, you know, kind of showed me the way. So I approach it as a challenge to help those guys get to where they want to get to. And obviously, it's about the team. So, you know, whatever I can do to help those guys on and off the field, that's what I'll do.
There he is.
Yeah.
I think it's relevant. I mean, the Andre Johnson thing is noteworthy because he kind of bridged the gap to DeAndre in Houston as being the guy after Andre Johnson left. And obviously, for a cup of coffee, was a Tennessee Titan. But honestly, if Treylon Burks just spends enough time with DeAndre Hopkins to take over some of those skills and abilities, then this signing is worth it.
Yeah, I agree. And you can always take something from a veteran, even if that veteran isn't as willing to help, right? You can just sit back and kind of watch. But DeAndre Hopkins is clearly willing to help. He said it several different times. Like, he's not going to sit down there and baby these guys, but he's definitely going to do, I feel like, his part if Treylon has questions or if, you know, they're in the film room just kind of wanting to break down stuff. I feel like DeAndre Hopkins, you know, had said kind of to us with some of the ways he answered the question, like, yeah, I'm more than willing to help, right? Yeah. And he's also more than willing to help when it's on the field because he also mentioned, look, I have been a guy that has helped out other guys just in terms of coverage, right? Because they're not going to, you know, always just focus on Treylon Burks when I'm out there.
Right.
Like, and that's going to help him as well.
It does.
So I thought that was interesting that he actually brought it on the field as well.
Oh, no doubt about it. And the best thing that Traylon and all the young wide receivers, because all of them are still relatively young, even NWI when it comes down to
He's
him.
pretty young too.
As far as just being in the league and having a veteran guy like DeAndre, watch him work.
Sure.
Like, see what his route running is like. See how he presses guys. Like, all the stuff that he can tell you verbally, watch his nonverbals, too. The way the guy attacks the cornerbacks, the way he will sacrifice a route for himself so that it can open up somebody else, too. I think it is unique that you have a guy like him that really is a showstopper when it comes down to his play when he's at an elite level. And Traylon being a guy, specifically being a recipient of it. But it does have the ability to open up more stuff for the wide receiver 3, the tight end position, and the run game. I feel like DeAndre still is in a situation where he's proving himself.
Oh, sure.
You know? And I think that does nothing but benefit everybody else out there because if he is what we think he is as far as training and where his body is, and I think he's in a real good spot, you can get a lot out of a guy like him this year.
I'm really interested real quick to see what Traylon says, though, because we have not seen him on social post anything when the signing happened. We saw some other teammates post stuff. He has not yet. So I really am interested if we talk to him today after practice, like what his thoughts are. I mean, he's not going to say anything bad, but I'm just curious because, again, he was asked that before. And while he said some great things about DeAndre Hopkins, he also said, I'm happy with the room that I have now.
Yeah.
So I'm just curious now that he's here. What's your thoughts?
I would actually think that the fact that Traylon's not saying anything, him and D-Hop's probably been talking the most.
Probably.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just
Absolutely.
one of those opposite social media moments right
Which
there.
we'll ask.
Which Traylon also got married this offseason.
He did.
Too, so.
Congratulations.
Traylon Burks isn't really a social media guy to begin with either.
Not a ton. He'll post a lot on Instagram, but it is mostly like him
story.
and his now wife. You know, they obviously just got married, like Ramon said. So he posts a lot of his like kind of outside football, I guess.
Yeah.
Life.
Definitely.
Well, DeAndre Hopkins talked about why he still believes he can play at a high level at this point of his career. Here's what he said yesterday.
Ooh, if I could, it's a lot, but I would say being on the same page with my quarterback. I can't go out and throw the ball to myself. Being patient, not having the ego, putting in the extra work. As much as people say, I don't practice. I don't think you can have those kind of numbers without practicing. So it's doing not just, the things you guys see, but also, like I said, outside of the football field, being on the same page and being reliable.
There you go.
That was good.
You like that one?
I did like that one.
That might be do it.
That might be do it. I liked it.
He said no ego. And that is how a lot of people have described DeAndre Hopkins, which from the outside perspective, not meeting him ever and just seeing him in the highlight reels, I'll be the first to say I probably thought he might be one of those guys that's kind of like, yeah, I know I'm good,
Yeah.
But from everything we've heard and from what he said himself, like that's not anything that's ever been a part of his way of going about his business, which I think is awesome considering just what he's done in his career and that caliber of football that he plays. And the ego is not a thing for him because, like he said, to kind of intro the press conference, like he's had to come up from nothing, like a lot of these guys.
Yeah.
But it's always good to have that too in the locker room because ego don't fit in this locker room.
No.
Doesn't fit in the Titans locker room.
It'll tear down the locker room more than it does anything else. Him bringing up, I can't throw it to myself like I have to throw. Like that's very true. But it's always fascinating too. Sometimes folks say, just throw it up to D-Hop. He gonna find it, and I think that's very unique in his skill set too. I'm just happy to hear him say the right things. Whatever happens after that happens, as far as his play on the field. He said the right things, and if you're a Titans fan, you have to be excited about this.
Yeah.
I think that is the biggest thing. You got a guy that actually wants to be here.
Yeah.
And is still making plays even as of last year. Other than suspension, I mean, what are we talking about here?
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those situations where just having an uneventful press conference is perfectly fine.
Yeah.
Sure.
Especially at the wide receiver position. I mean, I'm tired of the, let's just say there are no more players that host podcasts that play for the Tennessee Titans. With all respect to Taylor Lewan, who's made an outstanding business and career move out of a podcast. But I am perfectly fine with press conferences being boring.
Yeah.
And the play on the field just speaking for itself with this team.
I think that's what we're all looking for. is to play on the field, because there's still a lot of hesitancy when it comes down to D-Hop being who we think he is. I think that's the biggest thing. The fact that he didn't come in overselling nothing. I love the fact, like I told you guys, he spoke with confidence.
Yeah.
He spoke with knowing who the heck he is as a player, what he can bring to this team, and also understanding where this team is in general too. Like, understanding that Traylon needs help. And like you said, Kayla, the fact that he said, man, look, I am an attraction in myself.
Sure.
This is going to open it up for other players. Like,
Yeah.
that's the beautiful part about having a boring press conference.
Yep.
It wasn't anything exciting, no over-promising, any of those things. Like, let's just go to work. I know my purpose here. Get me to the field. That's what I'm excited about.
There were some questions, and I can't remember where they came from. But there's always those questions, though, and I thought it was funny because he was not going to have any of it. He answered them with like a couple words and was like, "And that'll do."
That was
And that will be do it.
the Houston situation. That was one of the questions. I feel like he was like, and that's when Houston was doing their. Never mind. He was like, I'll not talk about that. I think he was talking about getting rid of players or something like that.
Oh, their purge?
Yeah, the purge. And he was like, yeah, I'd much rather not talk about that. I was like, that is savvy. Very savvy.
It's fair.
That was fair, man. But it's only right that they brought that up to him.
Well, he also brought up he didn't say Nashville is a vibe. DeAndre Hopkins yesterday.
Yeah, I was a little confused on this. I'm not going to lie.
What are we doing, guys? Like, what are we?
Like,
Please don't call in of any other quotes you quote unquote hear from a Titans player.
I was just a little bit like,
Gone.
Hey, what he said? He didn't say it. I'm not being mean. I'm just reporting the
I
facts.
missed that whole week, man.
I will say this. I mean, the Titans just like put it out there too after.
Disappointing. Disappointing.
Hey, man.
I think all of us were like, uh-oh.
Who? I need to know who asked that question, too. That was hilarious.
Oh, it was Sam.
It was Sam, really.
They wrote about it.
Yeah, and Hopkins was very confused when he asked him.
Which, again, what I heard from his answer was this, too. Whatever you tweet at me, hate at me, and make me want to see your tweets, it's clear DeAndre Hopkins doesn't see them. He was like, did I tweet that? We tweeted that? I was just like, oh, he's got a team of people tweeting for him. He probably doesn't even control his own social media.
The Titans tweeted it.
Yeah, I know, but I guess,
that was not the question. The question was, hey, the Titans tweeted about this because you said that, or a fan of Bam on our show said that DeAndre Hopkins said that to him on his visit when they ran into each other. Man, not great.
D-Hop was like, nah,
confused.
I never said that.
Not great.
Way to go, D-Hop. He looked so confused, though. He sounded so confused. He
Also,
sounded
can
so
I make
confused.
another just social media statement? Speaking of fake things and lying, Rand Carthon doesn't have a Twitter. Stop tagging me in Rand Carthon tweets. That is a fan that is impersonating Rand Carthon. It's like people at our station are like the zones, like interacting with Rand. Like this isn't. That's not like a 5-second search of that guy's bio would tell you that's not Rand Carthon. Has like 1,000 followers.
Does it really?
Anyway, we gotta be smarter.
Yeah,
Nowadays, withat that blue check, I'm telling
I
you.
know.
It's like we've got more coming. Like, you really think the GM's gonna tweet that? Like, what are we? Anyway.
Hey, social media classes 101. Will keep handing out notes, man.
You would know, but you don't have Twitter.
Well, my burn account has been on fire lately.
Oh,
though.
has it?
It has been. I've replied a couple
You started
times.
tweeting from your burner.
Wow.
You're gonna get
At this
noticed
point.
eventually.
What are you
No,
up to follow-wise?
Not even anything. I think I might have two. I think I have like 10 followers. All bots. All
bots are out
baby.
here just in the Twitter.
They
streets.
are in the Twitter streets. And they will reply back to you, too.
Can
which
I
is
say
crazy.
something real quick? Can we give Bam a chance to say why this happened?
If he's listening, sure. 615-737-1045. There you go.
I want to hear it. I want to hear. Just call
Give
somebody
you a chance
liar
for a bubble.
right now.
I guess. I don't know. I'm tempted to just say we're just gonna keep moving.
Go ahead, let's keep moving on to Cincinnati.
And moving on to Los Angeles, where their quarterback has an extension. A big one. Coming up next on Ramon Kalen will.
It's Ramon Foster for United Structural Systems. And when it comes to large home repairs, a lot of the times we homeowners pretend we don't see the warning signs. We are afraid of what we're going to hear. This is especially true with waterproofing and foundation repair. It could be something big that needs to be fixed, or it could be a small problem now that'll become bigger later, or it could be nothing at all. Bottom line, we don't know, and we certainly don't want to be sold something we don't need. We need a peace of mind, and United Structural System is the company to give you that. Over 25,100% satisfied residential customers, and here's how that happens. When USS comes out to your house, you're getting problem solvers who provide a peace of mind to their customers, the homeowner. You're not getting someone who is worried about meeting a sale quota or upselling the next big thing, but someone there to educate you and help you understand what's happening with your home. At USS, their only measure of success is how satisfied the homeowner is, not a closing ratio. This attitude and culture is the reason they keep their employees year after year, from project managers to customer service to production. Some have been at USS for 25 plus years, okay? I'm telling you, this is the company you want to. This is a company who cares and a company you can trust. They guarantee their best. Homeowners trust USS. Keeping homes dry and stable. They guarantee their best. Call USS, and they are serving Middle Tennessee, Southern Kentucky, Western Kentucky, and Northern Alabama. You can reach them online at USSTN.com or call them 615-488-7855.
RKW is powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors here on 104.5 The Zone. And coming up at 7 o'clock, just over 10 minutes, we will be joined by the executive producer of Titans Radio, the one and only Rhett Bryan. Talking Titans training camp with you as they hit the practice field for the first time today. 615-737-1045 is our number. And Justin Herbert has reset the quarterback market.
Yeah.
Last night, a blockbuster 5-year extension worth $262.5 million. First reported by Ian Rappaport and Mike Garafolo of NFL Media. This slightly surpasses Lamar Jackson's April extension with Baltimore in terms of total money and average salary per year. It's going to run through the 2029 season. And Justin Herbert receives $218.7 million in guarantees in his new deal.
Yeah. Yeah.
Get your money, boy.
I'm telling you, run it up, man. And I'll tell you what, the quarterback position's holding the lion's share of everything right now. And all I can think is they make the saying spin, but they only spin at one position.
Sure.
That's the quarterback. And I'm
Sure.
thinking of running backs right now. You
Yeah,
know what I'm
me
saying?
too.
Like, very fascinating. But congratulations to Justin Herbert. We knew it was coming, although some people still question what is he able to do as a quarterback
Yeah.
moving forward.
And it's
But
fair.
This is big for him, though.
Look, that's fair, first and foremost. Second of all, I was also thinking straight to, oh gosh, what's Joe Burrow going to get
Oh,
then?
my gosh.
Because if Justin Herbert got that and he's not even done what I feel like he probably should have done
Yeah.
at this point, getting that money, just wait till Joe Burrow gets his payday because he's actually taken them
Yeah.
to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, he has. And they have a very good team and winning record. So Herbert's not bad. He's just the next in line to get paid.
25 years old, the 6th overall pick by the LA Chargers in 2020. He has started 49 of a possible 50 games, throwing for just over 14,000 yards, 94 touchdowns, and only 35 picks. I was wrong on Justin Herbert. I did not think he would be a great NFL quarterback. The dude is as talented as anyone at that position other than maybe Patrick Mahomes. That's just a lot of money to give to a guy that hasn't really had a team perform at a really high level.
Yeah.
And obviously wins are not a quarterback stat, and there are other things that players have to do in order to help him. But dude's had some weapons, and the Chargers haven't been outstanding.
No, I saw the playoffs loss. What was it last year?
Yeah.
Where
To the Jags.
Jags, where I
Jags,
thought
yes.
that they should have. That to me was a Justin Herbert kind of like moment where you're like, okay, I feel like he's got to get that win,
Yeah.
even over Trevor Lawrence, who catapulted, in terms of his success last year. I still think Justin Herbert and the Chargers should have had that win, and really at this point of his career needed that win. Now they can do it this year, but it just. At some point, now you're getting paid, man.
Yeah.
The pressure's not coming off anytime soon.
No, absolutely not.
It's gonna build.
It's if that's what I was going to say. If anything, it's going up when
Yeah.
it comes down to what's the expectation of a guy like him moving forward. I kind of look at it and I kind of say to myself, a lot of people have blamed his coaches for the losses that they've kind of had a little meltdown here and
Which
there.
there's been some inconsistencies.
There has been some inconsistency there when it comes to how he's managed games and stuff like
Injuries.
that. But yes, but the other thing though is you got to look at him, the player, the same way that we look at the way Jacksonville manned themselves into a win against them last year. He can't allow that. Okay, when
Right.
it comes down to Trevor Lawrence versus him, he's in that era now. We're gonna start comparing quarterback to quarterback wins versus losses whenever they meet up. The same way we did with Brady, Eli, Ben, Tom, all those guys.
Yeah.
We got Rhett Bryan coming up next. 1 hour is pretty much down. We do have Bam on the phone lines.
Okay.
Are we allowing Bam to defend
Yes.
what happened?
He gets a chance
Are
to.
we?
Just want to hear what's going on.
I believe you always should get a chance to defend yourself, just like in court. What, am I wrong?
Oh no, I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just really like agitating it a little bit right here. I kind of want to hear what Bam gonna say here. I don't know how much he can say, man. D-Hop said, "Nah, I ain't say that."
I guess I'm outvoted. Bam.
Yo.
Good morning, Bam.
Good morning, America. What's up, man?
Bam, what happened?
Bro, your guess is just as good as mine. I'm sitting here kind of like, when I heard it yesterday, I was kind of bewildered. Like, me and Paul Kaharski sitting in the same boat right now. I'm like, yo,
Well,
are we cool over here? But, my thing, I'm not I was there. I know what happened. My thing is, it's kind of like I'm a normal guy to him, probably. He probably talks to a million people in between this, that, and the next. You know, I wasn't bewildered by it, but I was just kind of like, oh, wow, that's interesting. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
I mean, at the end of the day, what really can you say? What really can you do?
That's fair.
I'm a fan of this dude. That was a whole month ago. You know what I'm saying? Like, fans hold stuff more personal than players that got a million other things going on, this, that, and the next. I mean, it ain't like I wasn't. He probably don't even remember taking that picture with me. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, I mean, people are people. That, just like Paul Kaharski put a whole article out.
Yeah.
You know, he put a whole article out, and it wasn't even him. He was texting. You know what I'm saying?
We're not worried about that. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just saying, Will.
Yeah,
you know,
sure. Yeah.
Tomato. You all right, Will? You cool, bro?
No, yeah, we're great. We just gotta. We're good. All good.
Okay, cool. Long as you good. I mean, any other questions you need me to address?
No, I'm great.
Whatever.
Well,
Ramon, how you doing, bro? You cool, bro?
I'm cool, man. I heard the same thing that you did. That's all.
Yeah, and I was just kind of sitting there like, I mean, but really, what can you really do about it? I mean, what can you really say about it? You know what I'm saying?
All right, man. Appreciate the call.
Tough.
We got to keep it rolling. Bam, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey, man, had a word.
Coming up next, Rhett Bryan joins us. 7 o'clock, we will have the executive producer of Titans Radio breaking down all the headlines coming up today. A reset of the headlines when we come back on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. Good morning. I'm Will Bowling. The Titans hit the practice field for the first time. 2023 training camp begins today. And yesterday, DeAndre Hopkins had his first press conference as a Tennessee Titan, discussing his connection with his new head coach, Mike Vrabel.
It helps a lot, especially someone in my situation going in year 11. I want to be somewhere around people that I'm comfortable with. Vrabel and I, we've always kept communication over the years. When I first got to Arizona, he was one of the first coaches to congratulate me and was one of the first coaches to criticize a bad game that I had as well. That wasn't my coach, and that's what I respect about Vrabel.
Head coach Mike Vrabel also met with the media yesterday, adding that Hopkins will miss the first day or two of camp due to personal reasons. You can hear more sound from St. Thomas Sports Park today at 8:50 when General Manager Rand Carthon addresses the media. We'll carry that live right here on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone. Hour number 2 on a Wednesday morning. Welcome in to Ramon, Kayla, and Will, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors, as the Titans get back on the practice field today. We've got Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Jackson Williams making the show happen. I'm Will Bowling, and we are joined on this fine Wednesday morning by the one and only Rhett Bryan, the executive producer of Titans Radio. Vibes are immaculate this morning. Nashville may or may not be a vibe. We will confirm later on in the show. But the vibes still in this room are immaculate this morning. Rhett, good morning. Welcome.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back, Kayla.
Thank
Here
you.
we go. And I will say this in Bam's defense, because the point he brought up last hour is that DeAndre probably meets a bunch of folks, and he may have said that to him in passing when they met and he took a photo or whatever and just kind of kept trucking. And I'm not saying that DeAndre has a short memory that doesn't work. I'm just saying that could have happened. So I'm willing to give Bam a little pass right there.
It's very fair.
So anyway, because Bam's a super guy, super fan, got a follow out of the Titans out of the deal. So
Yeah.
I mean, hey, come on. But I'm interested to hear what Rand Carthon and his lieutenants, the assistant general managers, Chad Brinker and Anthony Robinson, will also speak at this press availability. And I'm interested to hear not only how the DeAndre Hopkins thing went and just, the restructure of Kevin Byard and, anything they're willing to offer, obviously, off of what's been reported. And see if there's any other tips or hints or tricks in there that we can pluck out of the conversation, because the previous general manager would just straight out tell you, like deadpanned, what he was doing, and because he did it so deadpan, you didn't even pick up on it. Wait a minute, he told us that in an availability like 3 months ago.
Right.
So anyway, we'll see. But now is the other half of the tour around the sun for Rand Carthon and his guys in getting into the meat and potatoes of this deal, the regular season or the season itself. So
Should be very interesting, though. Rand hadn't talked a whole lot when it comes down to everything this offseason. And, of course, first-year guy, all media is trying to figure him out. We're trying to figure him out. Players trying to figure him out. And I hate to say figure him out, but just understand him a little bit more when it comes down to his method of operating. And it seems like it's going to be more closed-door stuff than it is on Front Street for everybody when it comes down to how the Titans operate moving forward. But all the things that they've said so far this offseason, they've addressed. They told you they were working when it came down to wide receiver, this roster not being finished. So that's one thing I can kind of say. They've been on point with how you do NFL business.
Yeah, and I think it's a different, speaking of vibes, it definitely is a different vibe, too, that I catch early on between him and Mike Vrabel. And I know we kind of joked about how many times collaboration was used before he was hired and when he was hired. But I truly think, and when you're around them and, you're at practices, it does seem like there is a collaboration there. There is a true respect, and I'm not saying that wasn't there with John Robinson, but I just feel like this is on the same page more.
There certainly appears, and based off of what both of you said, we have a small sample size to witness or to, hear from Rand about, and availabilities. But it certainly appears that they're both pulling in the same direction.
Yeah.
And have the same ideas and goals and, those things. And really and truly, when he's not in an availability, I mean, when I would speak to him briefly, he was like, I'm just trying to get him the best roster. I'm just trying to I'm trying to do my part. I'm trying to help the man get the best guys in this building to go win.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, is there, Rhett, a coaching point from Coach Mack for the Titans radio crew this year? I feel like every year watching training camp with Coach Dave McGinnis, there's a different point of emphasis, just like there is, for referees in every league and the NFL. Maybe there's a coaching point of the day for Mike Vrabel. Has Mack told you like a specific thing you guys are going to be watching for at practices this year?
Just little bits and pieces throughout the OTAs and stuff. I think, the main thing is some of the different personnel groupings that they're working with Tim Kelly's offense and the difference in tempos at time. And then, we're going to have our eyes on certain guys. Listen, and I'm sure Titans fans feel this way, but the preseason, people are like, oh, God, it's just the preseason. I think there's a lot of great storylines to watch in this. One is the kicker battle, and the other is you've got a number 2 and a number 3 quarterback battle that is, probably going to be a thing. They're going to get a lot of reps in this thing because we have seen lots of teams in kind of the NFL shift away from a bunch of starters playing in preseason games and taking the alternate route of getting, work days, joint practices. And they're going to have at least probably 4 of those between the Minnesota Vikings and then the week that they have the Patriots here before they finish up the preseason. And that's where I think a lot of guys get some really quality work because you're not going against your teammates. You're going against somebody else. They don't know you per se, and you don't know them per se. And while you're not revealing a whole lot of playbook materials, you're getting reps, guys against guys.
Yeah.
Certainly are. And I think, the interesting thing of that with this team now moving forward into, some of those joint practices and other things is every snap, every practice, every preseason rep is meaningful. I mean, you know the way it is, when you get out to practice, you don't see the starting quarterback. It's, oh, okay, all right. Maybe a little bit more of a chill practice today, maintenance day for a lot of these veterans. But every rep that Malik Willis and Will Levis will have will tell a story and be meaningful. And interesting, Rhett, we were talking about this a little bit yesterday. It's something we're going to get into later. There aren't going to be a lot of opportunities for Will Levis as the third quarterback in these first couple of days. I mean, Malik Willis saw this last year. He kind of had to earn extra team periods and 2-minute drills away from Logan Woodside in order to get more opportunities.
Well, and let's take it a step further, Will, because remember, players coming off of injury, rookies and quarterbacks reported on Saturday.
Right.
So they've gotten reps. Now, it hadn't been with everybody like it's going to be this morning. But to your point, Will Levis and Malik Willis has had to make the best of every rep we haven't even seen so far that wasn't available to the media because all 3 of those guys have been in there doing stuff. And so, yeah, I mean, it Coach Mack always says every day's an interview. That's what Mike Ditka told him the day he walked in the office of the Chicago Bears and headed to Ditka's office, and he got hired as the linebackers coach right after they won the 85 Super Bowl. So, yeah, I mean, it's a process in this. I'm just looking forward to seeing just how everybody's getting out there and looking and kind of, there'll be installation of things and a recap of what they did in the spring and the early summer in this. By the way, I don't get caught up in Madden ratings. Like, I know a 99's good. I do.
Yeah.
But you know the one that got my attention, and this is one of the, and I'm going back to a topic you guys had yesterday about somebody that needs to have a good camp.
Mm-hmm.
I think the argument could be made for, and this is because you could take that one of two ways. Either, okay, they've had a rough start and they need to get better, or they need to build off of. And for me, that's Ryan Stonehouse, the punter.
Oh.
Yeah.
He had a great rookie year,
Yep.
a historic rookie year. He's got an 82 rating.
Does he really?
Really?
Yes. I saw it posted yesterday.
That's a little surprising.
The leg, man. Wow.
a dude can bomb it.
Yeah.
He can bomb it. He
And the hang
can.
time is something that, you know,
Oh, my gosh.
was
He starts off
And-
with an 82.
82 is good for a punter,
Yeah.
too.
okay.
because
So,
they can't,
that's decent.
because they don't give
That's
him any
good.
speed. Like they give
Okay.
him 5 too slow. They don't give him like throwing, obviously.
Yeah,
and
I'm
tackling.
saying this is an. I
that's a
was
good one.
surprised at
The
how
high.
high the
Most-
number was.
So what would be
Punters,
like?
71 is probably about the average.
Okay,
see,
I
don't
like
play Madden, I
75
don't-
is high for
80
a
plus
punter.
is
Yeah.
really good for a punter.
Okay.
and I was timing him in those, especially the mandatory minicamp. I mean, he was hitting 5 seconds, 5 seconds
Yeah.
plus
That's
easy.
that's what you were saying. I remember that.
Yeah.
You know how I feel
Wowzers.
about Madden ratings, too. I'm with you. The fact that Jeffrey Simmons only got an 89, though,
Yeah,
was crazy enough to make me mad.
Not a fan of that at all. Very happy for Ryan Stonehouse and
Absolutely.
the other, but yeah, not a fan of that at all. I'm like, come on, man.
I hope the ratings adjusters are better for the NCAA football game than that.
Is he the highest rated Titan? With
No,
now,
Derrick
Derek should
Henry
be
is a 94.
94. Okay, all right, good. I was
And
hoping
then
so.
Derek gets
DeAndre
some
Hopkins, I
respect.
think, is 93.
Okay.
And you
Okay,
know what?
all right.
If Derek was, again, this is no knock on him at all, but if he had been used more out of the backfield and had that part of his game being a big part, he'd be a 99 instantly.
Yeah.
Just think about it, he's a 94 without it.
Without the pass catching ability.
And again, that's a guy that has worked his rear end off every offseason and
Right.
every training camp to improve that part of his game. And he had great numbers in that respect last year. But, I mean, if he was viewed like Austin Eckler and these other guys or whatever, he'd be
Right.
a 99 falling off of a tree all day long.
Rhett Bryan, our guest here on Ramon Kalen and Will. And coming up, what Mike Vrabel had to say yesterday about Malik Willis and talking about those quarterbacks. And we'll ask Rhett and Kayla the question that we discussed yesterday. Who is that one player who most needs a big training camp? We've mentioned a few guys. Ryan Stonehouse, a good shout. Who else specifically on that offense needs a big first day and first week of camp as practices start today at St. Thomas Sports Park? That and more coming up next with Rhett Bryan as we continue in hour 2 on RKW. Hey, it's Will Bowling. The weather is changing, but is your air conditioner ready for it? Maybe it's time for a professional to check it out. And trust me, this is a great time to go ahead, get this done with my friends at Lee Company. We got triple digits coming our way this weekend here in Middle Tennessee. Make sure that one of their expert technicians performs a 22-point inspection as well as seasonal cleaning and maintenance to help you stay ahead of Mother Nature. And thanks to their visual findings platform, Lee Company's professional team virtually shows you exactly what they see, in addition to updates and information on your unit's efficiency. Don't let your air conditioning fail this spring and this summer. Call Lee Company at 615-567-1000 or go to leecompany.com/promotions to get $20 off your AC tune-up today. That's online at leecompany.com/promotions. Get $20 off and call the folks that I trust. 615-567-1000. That's Lee Company. All you need. Continuing at hour 2 on your Wednesday morning of Ramon, Kayla, and Will, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. Through a heat wave in Nashville, the Titans get back on the practice field today. We've got Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Jackson Williams making the show happen. Rhett Bryan, I'm Will Boulding. 615-737-1045. If you've got a Titans question here, talking with you. Rhett, we had the big conversation yesterday about the one player who most needs a big training camp. And Ramon said Aaron Brewer. I said Kyle Phillips.
I think both are applicable.
Yeah.
I really do. I think that's, there's a short list that you can start with, and then you can apply it to whoever you want based on what happened to them in 2022. Those two, I think that's fair. I would go a step further and say Traylon Burks. I'm going to give you one, and I said Brian Stonehouse based off of had an excellent rookie season building off of that, and I have no reason to doubt he wouldn't do that anyway because he put in the work, and he seems to be well-grounded. But I'll say special teams, Kayla, and I'll say whoever the kicker of this team is, whether it's Caleb Shudak, Trey Wolf, or if that doesn't work out and it's someone else.
No, I think
they
you're
got to
right.
have that.
Yeah.
It's crazy too, Rhett, because for the past several years, we have had a discussion about kicker every single or every season.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it really has been a thing. And you had Randy Bullock, right? Which I think Randy did a good job
I'm with
while
you.
he
I
was
like
here.
him. Yep.
But you also have to look towards the future, and these two are younger. And you're right, Rhett. We don't know right now exactly who it will be, because I think we were all thinking it is Caleb Shudak at first. But now you've got the newbie coming in, the rookie coming in.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen him in mini camp and OTAs. He looks pretty good. And I really, truly think that's a competition.
And both of those guys, if I'm not mistaken, I think their career longs in college was 51 yards. Maybe one's 51, the other one's 52.
Mm-hmm.
And in a world where kickers with more frequency are hitting 60-yarders, and I'm not saying they're going to be asked to do that a bunch, but you may be in a tight spot and you need somebody to drop it through those goalposts.
Sure.
But the money range, I mean, when we talked to Craig Aukerman, the special teams coordinator, during probably minicamp, I guess it was, he was talking 40 to 49 was the sweet spot. But really, the 50 to 59 is becoming more of the norm.
Yeah.
It is, right?
As crazy as that is.
And Shudak, for sure, is one of those guys. I'm trying to find his college stats right now. He has a long it doesn't show his longs on here, man. But, again, given the opportunity to kind of thrive a little bit, it's there. This team, I'm with you guys, have to find a place kicker that can bomb it whenever you need it. Now, again, that sweet spot is in the 40s, right up until the 50s.
Right.
That's what you really want. You want an offense competent enough to be able to get you down into striking distance, as coaches like to say. But his senior year at Iowa, he was 36 for 36, extra points, of course, and field goals 24 for 28. So accuracy is his thing. Again, what does the leg power actually look like, which is why Randy Bullock, I think, is out a little bit too, because I think there was a governor
the distance
on
of it.
his distance.
And at some point, you just don't want to be worrying about this during the season. Like, you want to
don't.
make sure you've got your guy. You don't want to be dealing with any special teams in terms of kicking going on in the middle. I mean, you don't want to do that, right?
Well, and then there's kind of the devil's advocate to that in the flip side of the coin, where you just make it through the preseason. And you try to make it through the first game, and then you sign a veteran if you're not sure in week 2, knowing you're not on the hook for his salary for the rest of the season. Yeah, that's always something that's the waiver wire gets busy after that first week, just based on that rule and the monies involved.
So I am going to, since we're specifically talking about players to look for on offense, because there are defensive players I'm looking at too, but I will say this. I'll go with my guy, my Coug, Andre Dillard, because I think it's huge that he comes out and he has a good camp, guys, because, look, there's already a right tackle issue.
Yeah.
We already don't have Nicholas Petit-Frere for the Titans at right tackle, and Andre Dillard, believe it or not, has had questions coming in, if he can truly hold down that left tackle position.
Yeah.
I need to see it from him in camp. I do think that is a critical situation in terms of making sure you display that now, starting now.
And even so, it would just take away the stress of finding another guy and shuffling. So, yeah, I'm with you on that one. And I was trying not to go offensive line when talking about guys who got to have a good day.
That's okay. It's in your DNA, man.
I know, but
now it's in mine too.
I went 1A, 1B, and 1C, and my 1B was Aziz Al-Shair. That's another guy. We've yet to talk much about the middle linebackers, Rhett, but you're right. Dillard, we talked about him a little bit yesterday, Will, right? It was just a conversation with him was, all right, I expect him. New environment, new contract, maybe less pressure.
Fresh slate.
He going to perform. Yeah. That's what I'm hoping for when it comes down to Dillard. So he's not on my high watch list, but I do got a side eye like you on that one, Kayla.
Well, and Kayla, I think your point is certainly valid, and that is somebody that would be near the top of the list of this topic, just based on the things that you outlined right there. The other part of this, let's not forget, of course, it was interesting what Mike Vrabel said when he was asked about the right tackle part of this, and he said that Andrew Rupsich will get some reps, and that Jalen Duncan, the rookie in the 6th round of this year's draft, and then John Ojukwu, who is an undrafted, those guys will get some shots. But the suspension doesn't start until the regular season. So for Andre Dillard's benefit, he will have some reps with Nicholas Petit-Frere at right tackle with whoever that starting 5 is going to be. Sure. And hopefully they can make the best of those reps. Now, once the regular season starts, then NPF goes bye-bye for 6 weeks and goes, dark.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Rhett, I think the interesting thing, too, is that for a lot of Titans fans, this is a different way to get your left tackle. And in the history of this franchise in Tennessee, you begin with, the big names at that position when the team moved here. Obviously, Brad Hopkins, good friend of the show, good friend of the station. Yeah. Michael Roos, Taylor Lewan. This is a position that, obviously, we talk a lot about running back being the premium position in the history of the Titans and Oilers franchise. But you can make the argument left tackle's right there behind it here in Tennessee. And getting a guy who is a free agent addition that comes in and isn't an early draft pick for this organization, this is kind of new for Titans fans to get used to.
Yeah, to your point, punter, running back, left tackle, there are some legacy positions where you haven't had to think a whole lot about who the next person is. And listen, even though Andre Dillard got a nice contract, this is a prove-it contract because, I'm just now seeing left tackle Andrew Thomas and the New York Giants reached an agreement on a 5-year, $117.5 million extension that includes a $67 million fully guaranteed at signing. That is an offensive line record.
Okay.
Go!
So, here's the thing. The great thing is if Andre Dillard does, makes the most of a second start here, a clean slate, it's a win-win for the Titans because he's on the cheap compared to the numbers I'm seeing with what Titus Howard got in Houston and what they gave Laramie Tunsil, a few months ago and trying to protect their rookie quarterback asset and C.J. Stroud. So, the market keeps going up, and the numbers that were reported for Dillard seems like a bargain compared to that. So if it works out, it definitely is a bargain.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Jamarco Jones, another guy, Rhett, that Mike Vrabel mentioned yesterday.
Yes.
A guy that comes in with a wealth of experience at a number of positions. And it feels like he's one guy that as Dylan Radins gets fully healthy again, it would be really best case scenario, perhaps, for the Titans if Jamarco Jones just goes ahead and takes a hold of that right tackle job for the first 6 games.
And maybe that's just what we need, period. Maybe it's him. Maybe it's someone. We need someone to just take the bull by the horns, literally, and say, I'm going to hold us down. And then when NPF gets back, if that's a thing and the person is really playing really well, maybe there's a shuffle there.
Sure.
You would go back to NPF naturally, but how many times has Mike Vrabel told us the more you can do?
Like seriously, I'm not worried about MPF because he's such a high talent, such a big time player. Can be, right? Yeah. This little blip does take a hit because your dependability or of my trust in you is one of those things. Accident or not, didn't mean to or not, we lost you for 6 games. So because of that, even though you're not in the doghouse with me, I got to kind of look at you as bro, we really had plans for you. So because of that, I still do question what will NPF's entry be back into the lineup or to the team? Like, he's a part of the team. We all know that. But as far as if whoever they put at right tackle plays well and this team catches its stride going into that bye after London, right? How do you put him back in with him being such a young guy too? Like, I've seen guys get suspended before and they be like skill guys that are, crucial to the offense's success. If an offensive tackle like Jamarco Jones come in and plays well, what does it actually look like for NPF getting thrust back into the lineup? Do you make that change again?
Well, and I think the $1 million answer to the $1 million question, Kayla, is how does that first 6 games go?
Yeah.
What is the record? I mean, is there urgency there? There's urgency every week, but is there increased urgency because, yes, you start on the road at New Orleans, but you got 5 straight conference games before you get to Atlanta at home in week 8.
And that's
it's
the thing.
crucial.
Your training camp, you got to really build the momentum in training camp. Whoever's winning that position, like, it's got to start there because you're going to hop right into, like Rhett said, the games that count.
Yeah.
All games count, but
All
these
of them
games
do.
are crucial.
And so for whoever that is, it's not only what preseason reps they get in preseason games, but the quality work they get against 2 days against the Minnesota Vikings coming up and 2 days against the New England Patriots coming up.
Yep.
Rhett, for our listeners who are unfamiliar with the way reps and just quarterback reps work in an NFL training camp, Malik Willis and Will Levis each battling for that second job behind Ryan Tannehill. How do you expect that breakdown to work early on in practices? We touched on this a little bit in the last segment because it took Malik Willis maybe 3 weeks to kind of take over that second quarterback role behind Ryan Tannehill last season. How do you expect this to shake out? Do you expect Malik to get the majority of the second reps, or is there some kind of split that's going to happen here just from the get-go?
I think it depends on what we see early on because, I mean, Mike Vrabel's training camp practices, there's a lot to them. I mean, it's a 3-ring circus. There's something, nobody's standing with hands on hips very much at all, right?
Tempo.
And without giving too many trade secrets away, those who are lucky enough to have won the ticket lottery and have gotten in today to see this, you'll see them split up into 2 groups and the ones working with ones and 2s working with 2s. Yeah. And then 2s and 3s will also work, and they'll work, doing the same kinds of drills and the same kinds of plays they're working on, just in different depths of the roster. Both will get their opportunities to get their hands on the football. Especially, I mean, look, you've invested a third and a second round pick in the last 2 seasons, so they're going to get their opportunities. How it's diced up, I don't have any idea.
So Jeremy on Twitter at Ramon Kayla Will writes in and says Chig's sophomore season needs to be even more successful than last year. Our offense could be catapulted to the top with that kind of balance / unpredictability. Fair to assume that Chig Okonkwo opens camp as one of those favorite targets for Ryan Tannehill today.
Well, he's TE1.
Yeah.
Yep.
Period.
Yeah.
I mean, we saw who was it? Jeff Swaim signed with somebody yesterday. He ain't coming back. But he is tight end number 1 in this. And you're right. The caller and the listener is right. This is applicable depending on the previous season's story. And Chig was not as involved his first few games. He was just getting his feet wet. But you go down the stretch and look at what he did in the back half of the schedule when guys are dropping like flies. He's making some things happen. And no, he strikes me as somebody that will be dialed in and ready to go. He never seemed like a rookie to me last year. Just the way his demeanor, the way he spoke to us, the way he carried himself. And, I know he made mistakes. Every rookie does. He even talked to us in the offseason about, hey, I'm talking to all these rooks coming in about Mike Vrabel's going to give you a hard time. He's going to expect a lot from you. But they know that going into the deal. But no, Chig is a great selection and a great choice for that because it's my belief he is going to be a huge part of this offense.
It's interesting, too, because I was looking at some stats yesterday for Titans preview of camp. Look, they're rookies. Like when you talk about Titans rookies who have been on the field and have had a good amount of reps, there's a lot of, I mean, they're right up there in the league in terms of using their rookies. And really, they've had to because of all the injuries that have happened. But this was one of those rookies that took full advantage of it last year. There was a game, and I can't remember which one it was, Rhett, because we'd been coming to him early on in the season at his locker. But there was one game I remember specifically after, and that next week we came to his locker, and it was like the lights went on full force. I can't remember what it is, but you just saw everything clicked at that point.
What's fascinating about him, though, is I think the word is out about him, too. People know Chig can be that guy. And I think
so now he's got to go out and take it to that next step.
Yes. I'll tell you this.
It's not a mystery anymore.
It doesn't seem like he lacked confidence either. And that's what you need at a position like that.
And I think that's the thing I took away mostly from his rookie seasons. He didn't carry himself like a rook. He didn't, now he wasn't, so confident he's gallivanting around the locker room doing whatever. But I'm just saying he carried himself extremely well.
Yeah.
Yep.
But you bring up, I think, one of the more valid points of our conversation this morning because of the injury situation the last 2 seasons. There's a lot of young guys who got a lot of valuable playing time and reps that can really pay dividends going into their second or third year, depending on who we're talking about. And Roger McCrary is one of those.
Big time.
That's a guy that, he had his moments, but I think he had a nice rookie year.
Me too.
And I think he's got nowhere to go but up and to increase. Well, and quite frankly, this is obvious, but it sounds silly, but they need him to be an integral part of that secondary.
100%.
Rhett Bryan, our guest this morning on our own Kale and Will, every Wednesday here on the show. Rhett, we are looking forward to watching a little bit of football today.
Oh, it's back. You just said that, and I heard angels sing.
I feel a cool breeze.
There's a
brush
choir.
against your face.
There better be a cool breeze because that's the thing
Can
that
we
has
bring
changed.
that?
Oh my! I think Friday's supposed to be 100 and Saturday 98, and it's the next 7 to 10 days. It's a scorcher. It's El Nino has saved us until this point, and El Nino has flown the coop. I'm like,
Adios.
Damn it, El Nino!
Backslap us.
The last 2 years, it's been like very moderate at the beginning of camp.
Well,
so
you got one of these about every 7 or 8 years where, it's always low 90s and high humidity, but this is whoo-hoo-hoo. So do like me. If you're coming out there, folks, hydrate. Must do that.
Yes.
That is right. And coming up next in San Francisco, that's fun to say, there is one player who has a good outlook for camp, another who will not be available in San Fran. Coming up on Ramon, Kalen, and Will.
We talk all the time about the diamonds at Genesis Diamonds. Well, that's their specialty, but diamonds are not a side business for Genesis. It's at the core of who they are. That's why Genesis has 30-plus year connections in the industry. It's how they can truly cut out layers of middlemen and their markups. It's how Genesis can maintain a diamond selection that's up to 30 times what you find at other stores. This is a diamond powerhouse, whether you're looking for a half a carat or 20-carat diamond. But don't forget, Genesis has case after case of exquisite fashion jewelry as well. Earrings, bracelets, pendants, bands, color gemstone, gold jewelry, the list goes on. And Genesis is partnering with all the top designers in the jewelry world. Top designers from New York and California with handcrafted pieces, one-of-a-kind heirloom jewelry. And on top of all of this, Genesis has one of the largest selection of luxury pre-owned Rolex watches in America. If you're dreaming of a Rolex, come see the pristine pre-owned models they have in stock right now. Hundreds to pick from. Best part about Genesis, the people. Nobody's on commission there. They work in your best interest, and they have a passion for making every customer a raving fan. Whatever you need in jewelry, this is hands down the best place to go. Genesis Diamonds, located in Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Wednesday morning continues on Ramon, Kayla, and Will, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors.
Whoa!
615-737-1045 is the number. What?
That's literally what I just felt like going through my body.
Okay, Kayla, hit him with the, I gotta go. Throw the hair.
Headbanging.
Headbanging.
Wednesday
Definitely like woke me up.
Good morning. If you're not awake, you are now.
You are now. You
Keep
doggone
it between
right
the
you are.
navigational beacons.
Our
Goodness.
man.
Brock
Jack
Purdy
Town.
is going to keep it between the navigational beacons at 49ers practice. He is back.
Wow.
Did not land on the 49ers PUP list when veterans reported to training camp yesterday for San Fran, meaning he will be able to participate in some capacity from the start of camp after undergoing off-season elbow surgery.
Wow.
That's impressive.
That is impressive. Good for him. I'd also say this, too. I think they played coy the entire offseason.
Yeah.
They didn't give any kind of information whatsoever about his injury. They deaded all of the storylines surrounding him and Trey Lance. Good for them.
Well, now I feel like this is going to be even more intriguing battle because Trey Lance is still trying to prove that I was a first-round pick.
Oh, yeah.
And Brock Purdy, obviously what he did in the postseason and all the love that he's getting from San Francisco, you'd think he's the starter, which right now it seems to be.
He entered the season at heck, they tried to put him back in the game to play, but the thing is, Trey Lance didn't have many opportunities either so far due to injuries. Jimmy G being around, I mean, there's a lot that's stacked up against him, which is why we had that whole conversation about Malik and, everything surrounding him. Sometimes it comes down to opportunities, and when somebody jumps in front of you, it's hard to pass them again on the road.
Rand Carthon, what was that meeting like with Malik Willis?
I told Malik that I trust him, and he's a Tennessee Titan the same way that I am, and we got to collab. I dropped a ration on the end of collab to let him know that it's me and him, and as long as he work hard and he showed me the Malik that I know and love, then he going to be on this roster, because I got a friend of mine that I know lightly by the name of Ramon that I said to him too, hey, we're good.
Thanks, Ramon.
That might be do it.
And that might be done.
That's the musical stylings of Ramon Foster.
That's great. I love the Ramon.
Brock Purdy is available, but Nick Bosa is not in San Francisco. He will miss practice. Reigning Defensive Player of the Year is not expected to be with the team to begin camp as he seeks a new contract. And Kyle Shanahan said yesterday that he'd be surprised to see Bosa at camp until there is a new deal done. So not a surprise to San Francisco, who expected this. But for Bosa, it's essentially protecting his health before he gets a new deal, because the guy can't stay healthy.
Yeah.
And he, obviously is maybe the best defensive player, not named Aaron Donald, in football. But why sign a long-term deal when your durability is as low as it is for him?
That's the thing, though. Yeah. When he's on the field, I mean, we watched some of, these behind-the-scenes football documentaries, and I think it was Quarterback that I saw this on, where praising Nick Bosa and just the type of player he is. And he worked on this last year, getting quicker, right? He changed his diet, he got in a chef, but it is all about being on the field and being available. You've got to do that. His brother is dealing with the same issues, Joey Bosa, over with the Chargers. Coming out of Ohio State, he was also just a beast, right? But he's had issues staying on the field. But when they're on the field, they're a force.
They are a force.
So it's finding, what are we going to pay you? How reliable can you be? That's always a difficult situation when you have a player that can produce when they are on the field.
I'm seeing a few things. Well, a couple things happen when it comes down to these players holding out and trying to get contracts too. Is just real quick. I mean, these players and their agents know this too. That new money is about to kick in.
Yeah.
Whether Bosa want to say it's the injuries or whatever case may be, that new money is about to kick in. I mean, we're seeing it with Justin Herbert, and tackles we're seeing get broke off right now. And also, I know Saquon is probably just livid right now. His tackle got broke off just like that. And they gave him a portion, not even 10% of what that contract was worth. Whew, tough.
Coming up next at halftime of the show, what DeAndre Hopkins had to say about Derrick Henry's influence on bringing him to the Tennessee Titans. We'll get to that. We'll get to other headlines around the NFL. 615-737-1045 as Hour 3 is on deck, just like that on 1045 The Zone.
Hey, it's Ramon and Kayla with Window Nation, and we talked about this just minutes ago. The heat is going to be at a high level this entire week, going into the weekend. That means your AC going to be clicked into overdrive with these scorching temperatures, and that means, well, your energy bills are probably going to go sky high at the end of July and in August. So what is the solution? We have one for you. Our friends at Window Nations, they have a deal for you to save thousands today with no money down, no payments, no interest for 2 full years. Plus, here's the bonus. Window Nation going to give you 2 free windows with every 2 you buy. So you could pretty much increase the value of your home today by going on and checking them out at windownation.com.
And here's the other thing, too. Kayla just made the clicking sound when it comes down to your AC. Guess what? Because it turns on all the time. They can save you up to 30% on your energy bills by switching to Window Nation windows. Increase the value of your home by up to $12,000 to jealous neighbors. And you're also helping yourself out in this, too. The best thing about Window Nation, they've installed nearly 2 million windows with 96% perfection, making them one of the top window companies in the country. Best thing you can do, go to windownation.com. Again, 0 for 2 years. That means no money down, no payments, and pay no interest for 2 full years. The number is 866-90-NATION, or go to windownation.com and be sure to tell them that Ramon and Kayla sent you.
It is 8 o'clock on the dot. Good morning. I'm Will Bowling. The Tennessee Titans hit the practice field for the first time in training camp this morning. And yesterday, DeAndre Hopkins spoke about Mike Vrabel and his connection with his new head coach in his first press conference as a Titan.
It helps a lot, especially someone in my situation going in year 11. I wanted to be somewhere around people that I'm comfortable with. Vrabel and I, we've always kept communication over the years. When I first got to Arizona, he was one of the first coaches to congratulate me and was one of the first coaches to criticize a bad game that I had as well. That wasn't my coach, and that's what I respect about Vrabel.
Mike Vrabel also met with the media yesterday, adding that Hopkins will be absent for the first day or two of training camp due to a prearranged personal matter. You can hear more sound from St. Thomas Sports Park today at 8:50. That's coming up here in Hour 3 on Ramon, Kalen, Will. When General Manager Rand Carthon addresses the media, we will hear all of the latest from the new GM right here on 104.5 The Zone. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone. Welcome to the second half of Ramon, Kayla, and Will, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. The Titans are on the practice field today, and DeAndre Hopkins was in a Titans press conference for the first time yesterday. Lots to react to around the National Football League as training camp opens. We re-enter the best time of the year. I feel like a kid on Christmas.
It does.
That's Ramon Foster. Kayla Anderson. Jackson Williams, our producer. My name is Will Bowling. Robert Walsh with the morning off on IR this morning as we continue forward with ferocity into the black.
Loafing is what he's doing this morning,
Okay.
man. I hope he don't
He
send
needs to feel better.
Well, we'll get to all that, okay? Okay, let's trash him
But right
real
now
quick,
you wanna
okay?
call him loafing.
He stay up all weekend with us partying, okay? He hits the Buckapalooza, okay, from Thursday to Sunday.
It
What
was a
happened?
palooza.
It was a palooza, okay, and having the time of his life and can't show up for work.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of human being is this, okay? What kind of producer does this? You know what I'm saying? To his coworkers, just loafing. But I
What
hope
happens
that's
when you-
fantastic.
Yeah, well, not fantastic, Buck, because you didn't get the bug
You can get the
or
bug.
whatever the unspecified injury is.
But I hope you feel better, Bert. I made it all better
Bert,
right
Bert,
there.
we hope you feel better. Be
He's
back
not
soon.
listening to us. He's not awake yet.
He just has us in his headphones while he sleeps.
Man, listen to that.
The sweet nothings of
Sweet
Ramon,
nothing.
Kayla, and Will.
You see what I'm saying?
That's
Yeah.
fantastic.
That's fantastic.
I'm surprised Buck isn't sick, not going to lie.
Yeah, no. He had a week.
That Buck belongs to the streets.
Believe me, I couldn't miss it on
He's used to
every social media platform.
Well, that man belonged to the streets. That's very fair. But we're back. Football season's here. Nah, I'm not going to do it.
I did enough to say it in a promo.
I was about to do it now, but we're here though, man. Holdouts, new contracts, false injuries. Well, not false injuries. I think it was Detroit. They don't think his situation's as bad as the cornerback of Detroit.
That went down.
Yeah.
Gardner Johnson.
Gardner Johnson.
Johnson.
CJ Gardner
CJ Gardner. Yep. His injury's not as bad as they thought it was. So it's training camp. We're going to see a lot of this across the league.
Yeah.
All that matters when something like this happens to a vet like him, get to week one.
Mm-hmm.
Get to week one.
Football. Okay.
Let's hope it does not happen
Yeah.
to a Titans player. Can
Yeah.
we just put that good juju out there? Is there good juju?
Yeah, that's good juju.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll rock
Good
that.
juju.
Good
I'm
juju.
putting it out there this
Yeah,
year.
no injuries, baby.
Well, DeAndre Hopkins spoke yesterday about a number of topics and talked a lot about the running back position. The conversation around his signing and his courtship in the NFL with the Patriots, Chiefs, Titans, and others had a lot to do with playing with a quarterback who is established and playing for management that is established with a championship defense. But DeAndre said yesterday the running back position also important in making his decision.
Derek played a big factor in me coming here. I always wanted to be part of an offense that had a great run game. I know that helps my job, and I know it's going to help his job having someone like me out there. I think, obviously, played with Arian Foster. I played with some great running backs, but Derrick Henry is definitely by far one of the best running backs that I would be able to have a chance to play with. And I think that not just help us, but the team as well. So, Derrick Henry being here played a very big part of me coming here.
The value of running backs is something that seems to be in dispute here as of late. How important are they from your standpoint as somebody who's obviously operating a high level of passing game?
Without a great running back, or without a good running back, I shall say, the pass game is very hard to establish. Play a lot of football. You got to establish the run first. I think those guys are very important to the game of football, and obviously I see what's going on. Not a fan of it, but that's out of my decision. The only thing I can go out there and do is my job. But having a good running back on the team, it definitely helps win games for sure.
So that is DeAndre Hopkins yesterday talking to the media and shouting out Ramon's old teammate, Arian Foster.
Yeah, definitely. I was wondering if he was gonna say James Conner name a little bit. So I think James was injured, maybe something. I ain't sure, but either way, and all that he said, the importance of the run game opens up everything else. As pass happy of a league that this NFL is right now, everybody involved understand if you establish the line of scrimmage, everything else opens up. Now, it can be flip-flop where the quick passing game opens up the run game a little bit to soften the box up a little bit. But to hear a guy like him understand, well, look, I can't just go to any old place where the run game can't be established or they don't really really put an emphasis on it. I'm glad for him to say that publicly. I'm not much without some guys on the ground. Beautiful.
Yeah. I think it just goes to show, too, the respect level that Derrick Henry has throughout the league. There's some good running backs in this league, but there's no arguing what Derrick Henry has done for this Titans team specifically. Even when they've struggled at times, he has been a consistent force for the most part. Even behind a diminished offensive line last year, he still was, for the most part, doing what he could do. And I always love to hear another high caliber NFL talent like DeAndre Hopkins or whoever it might be coming in and say, well, that's one of the reasons why I came here was for a guy like Derrick Henry. You see what he does. He played against him at a point when he was in Houston. So he knows what he is too. And now to be on the same side as him, that's got to be exciting. And to know, like, you're hoping that this is going to help the entire offense with these two working together a little bit too now.
Yeah, star power matters.
Yeah,
definitely.
I think at the very least, you can hope DeAndre Hopkins has more of an understanding about the way the Titans offense is supposed to work than Julio Jones did.
Oh, yeah.
Fundamentally, DeAndre Hopkins, from that quote, to me, tells me that he knows who the focal point of the offense still is, and it's not him.
Yeah.
And even with Julio Jones here, the focal point of the passing game was still A.J. Brown. I think DeAndre Hopkins isn't walking into a room where there's a current wide receiver who's going to be the number one. I think if the Titans are at their best this season on offense, Treylon Burks is probably 1A and DeAndre is 1B, or vice versa. But this is not really super similar to what Julio was walking into, because there's no question about who the offense is based around. It's still going to be Derrick Henry.
The other portion of the Julio AJ saga that we had here for a little while, though, too, is AJ was actually budding of a wide receiver at the point, too. I think we all knew A.J. Brown was close to a breakout season. We all knew that A.J. Brown was the focus point of it. Treylon's still young enough and inexperienced enough, and honestly has to back himself up from last year's transgressions, that DeAndre and him can share level ground for a little while. Like you said, whether it's, to your point, Will, 1A or 1B, depending on the weekend, that shouldn't cause any friction whatsoever. Not that it would, but y'all know how the wide receiver position goes, right? I want my targets. I want my catches. But in front of both of them, it's 22.
Yeah.
Like, Derrick is the go-to guy.
Yeah, we don't know what Treylon Burks is yet.
We don't.
All signs point to he's taken that next step, but that isn't going to be a guarantee until we see him, A, play in games, and B, be able to stay on the field.
Yeah. Like all of this matters when it comes down to what Traylon and DeAndre's relationship is moving forward. And I hope it's beautiful. I hope Traylon learns as much as he possibly can. And truthfully, I hope Tim Kelly can balance spreading the ball out to not just him, but the Chig, getting Tajay Spears incorporated in it however we have to also. And, of course, like you said, figuring out the game plan with guys in the slot. You know what I'm saying? Like Kyle Phillips. And also, too, who was the young tight end this year, too, Andrew Wiley? No, Josh Wiley.
Josh
Wiley.
Yeah.
I mean, let's not forget about how we were, at least I was, and still am, on him. What he could potentially do this year. He's more of a pass-catching tight end also.
Yeah. What I thought was interesting, too, that I want to continue to see but take advantage of it is, look, this Titans offense is one of the highest percentages in the red zone over the last few years in the entire NFL. Them being able to convert in the red zone is something they've actually been extremely good at, except for even with that being the case last year, in the second half, they just weren't able to take advantage of any of those situations because they weren't scoring. So now it's like, you got to continue that. You got to now use the parts that you have, the versatility that you have to get creative, continue to have that success down there. But the main thing is, in the second half, you got to get down there. And I think that's the biggest thing that I think Titans fans are hoping for, too, is like, we can't just have these points come in one half. Like, they've got to continuously come throughout this game.
So I was doing stuff for Scout Meeting Wednesday last night, and I was just thinking to myself, like, this team has a lot of hesitancy to it, but a lot of optimism, too.
Sure.
That's this team right now until we figure out what the product's going to look like on the field.
Coming up, Mike Vrabel had good things to say about Malik Willis yesterday, says that he came out of the spring with glaring improvement. We talk quarterbacks coming up, and you can join us in the F&M Bank chat on YouTube, Facebook Live, Twitter, or Twitch. What should the breakdown of reps be for Titans quarterbacks starting today in training camp? You can make the argument Ryan Tannehill needs as much time as he possibly can get with new weapons, with a new offensive line and a new system. And you can also make the argument that Will Levis needs as many reps as he can get. Our outlook for the quarterback position coming up next as we continue here in hour number 3 on RKW.
It's Ramon Foster for Two Rivers Ford. The Ford F-150 has been the best-selling truck for 46 years. Yes, 46 years. And Two Rivers Ford has been the leading F-150 Ford dealer in our community for 40 years also. Two Rivers Ford has a huge selection of F-150s on the lot right now. They're all priced below MSRP. So if you're looking for one, go ahead over there, y'all. I promise you, they're on the lot, too. You see, Two Rivers Ford always sells for the best price. Their trucks are clearly marked, so you get no gimmicks, no shenanigans, just an honest deal and a speedy process. And did I mention Two Rivers Ford has non-commissioned salespeople also, so you never have to be pressured into buying anything. There's a reason Two Rivers Ford has been the best business since 1983. So if you're in the market for F-150, call, click, or go see my friends at Two Rivers Ford in Mount Juliet, just 7 miles east of the airport, okay? Two Rivers Ford, powered by Ford, driven by people.
Wednesday morning continues on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. It's powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. Visit allfourseasonsgarages.com/Nashville. The Titans have brought back a familiar face at the start of training camp today. Defensive back A.J. Moore has agreed to terms with the team, according to a report from Jim Wyatt just a few minutes ago. And the corresponding move is the Titans have waived defensive tackle Curtis Brooks. A.J. Moore played in 12 games for the Texans in 2021, has made a name for himself on special teams, an undrafted safety out of Ole Miss in 2018, who played in 55 games for the Texans.
Okay, then.
Another guy who can actually now wear Houston Oilers throwbacks. There you go.
I know. Is it just their dream all to come to the Titans? I swear. I want to go one day when I have time, which will not be anytime in the near future. I want to go through all the Houston Texans who have been here since Vrabel's been here. It'd be fascinating.
I mean, Andre Johnson, imagine that situation right there. But it doesn't go the opposite direction, do you?
I don't think
Not
so.
often?
Not much.
No, not often.
Besides Robert Woods, who's now down there recently.
Yeah. But he's an out-of-conference guy. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, he came from NFC over here, and it's just like, well, yeah, the AFC South doesn't really swap like that. Well, the Titans don't anyway.
Right.
Yeah, definitely.
Andre Johnson was here before Mike Vrabel was, though.
He was? Oh, I think Kayla's just talking about in general.
just
But I
former
guess,
Texans.
did it go
Former
back
Texans.
even further
What do
with
you
some
mean?
of these Texans coming here? My thing
Not
was
really.
like the Vrabel connection, you know?
It was when
Yeah.
Vrabel got here.
But I didn't know if that was a thing before that even.
Not really.
Man, they had to waive a guy to bring in A.J. Moore, though, to us. That's the business. We're back into the business of the game now,
Yeah.
aren't we?
I'm surprised they didn't bring Josh Kalu back instead of
Josh Kalu, yeah.
Kalu, because he's
Yeah.
been here, he's been off and on, but he's been one of those, I feel like, pretty good guys in terms of special teamer and stuff. And when he's had to come in, that's interesting.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I just look at it, man. I think we're just in a different regime and what Vrabel and Rand are kind of looking for a little bit. I'm interested to see what is the patterns of their moves. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
Get a guy like A.J. Moore that's been around for a little while. Kalu we know of, but I guess it'll be fascinating to see how these free agents work out now moving forward as opposed to what they did in years past. And you got to give it to John Robinson still. I mean, say what you want to about him too and his tenure here. His big moves, I think, is what brings the black cloud over him. But you got to think this is a guy that also helped sustain this team to get the first seed in the playoffs. The 2019 run, like there have been some good. It's just that the cloud that surrounds this draft picks, some roster management, cap situations, it plays a part in it. So I want to see what's the separation between Rand's regime versus his moving forward. And I'm hoping whatever it is successful for this team.
I will give you one quick Titans trivia question before we get to our quarterback discussion.
Okay.
There's a former Titans running back in the mid to late 2000s who played one season in Houston at the end of his career.
Running back.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh.
Mid to late
2000s, ran for over 1,000 yards in 2004 for the Titans.
Marco Murray?
Nope.
No.
It was later.
That was later?
Jackson
Oh.
Williams, you are free to answer this as well.
Travis Henry?
No,
Ooh.
not Travis Henry.
Not Lindell.
You're not going to guess it. I don't know why.
Yeah, I'm interested.
What is his birthdays again?
Actually, let me double check because Travis Henry might actually. No, Travis Henry finished in Denver
Okay.
Okay.
in 2007.
Yes, he did.
Same era, though.
Sure did.
Yeah.
This guy was teammates with Travis Henry. In
Jackson.
2004, when Travis Henry was still in Buffalo, this guy was the Titans running back.
Who could it be, Will? Fullback? No, you said running back.
Chris Brown
Not
is the
the
correct
singer,
answer.
huh?
Todd wins at the F&M Bank Chat, wins first. Chris Brown was
All right.
one of the original Titans to Texans.
Chris Brown.
Yep.
Wow.
I remember him well.
You do, yeah, I
pretty
remember
good.
the name, but
Yep.
not necessarily.
I was
Okay.
curious if you overlapped and played against a Chris Brown Titans team at all. I guess you wouldn't have. He was done in 2007, so no.
I kind of went mind blank when it came down to me figuring out offensive players because I was only focused on the defensive guys.
There you
and
go.
everything.
Right.
So, yeah.
So this training camp, guys, the Titans have one of the most fascinating quarterback battles in football between Ryan Tannehill, who you could argue is kind of a lame duck quarterback, or you could argue is playing for a chance at an extension here in Tennessee. And we were talking about this yesterday, Kayla, where Ramon said that he has less confidence in Malik Willis making the roster because DeAndre Hopkins brings a different level of expectations and a different vibe of let's win now with the quarterback we currently have in Ryan Tannehill while still preparing for the long-term future with Will Levis. So I'll ask you guys this. What does the breakdown of quarterback reps need to be this camp? And we've talked about it a lot already this morning. At the beginning of camp last season, until that first preseason game, Logan Woodside was QB2 and Malik Willis was QB3, and there was not a lot of switching back and forth.
Right.
Yeah.
It was Ryan Tannehill getting 60% of the reps, Logan Woodside getting another 25 to 30% of the reps.
Yeah.
And really Malik Willis was watching and observing and getting 10 to 15% of the reps until the first preseason game, when he really became QB2 then for the sake of development and seeing what they had. And then he was getting maybe 30 to 35% of repetition. So what should this breakdown look like at the start of camp?
The way ours broke down, and I'm not sure how the Titans structure go as far as periods, plays. So team versus team, it would be 15 plays. It'd be 8-4-3. And you break it down 4, you come in and get his 4, then you go back for your 4, and then 3 is how it would break down. 8-4-3 is 15 reps right there. If it's 12 plays, it'll end up being 6-4-2. However you want to break it down too. But the way it works for the threes is you better get your pre-practice in and you better get your side hustle in whenever it's not team periods. That's where your growth is going to come into, because Levis has to figure out the pace in which an NFL quarterback has to throw the ball. Malik should know this already, but Will, if you're asking me, it should be 8-4-3 is how it's going to shake out, with Tannehill getting the bulk of it. And do you give the 4 to Malik or do you give it to Will Levis at this point?
Well, it's going to go to Malik first.
It's going to go to Malik first.
I'm going to tell you.
Okay.
I mean,
Should
I'm
it?
not 100% sure. Should it? Is a good question. And I almost think, Will, because I do agree with Ramon on the Ryan Tannehill should have the most reps,
Yeah,
at least
definitely.
starting for a big chunk of camp.
Absolutely.
Right? And when you get DeAndre in there and everything and get his chemistry going with him. But it does pose the question, then how do you see Malik and Levis getting their share? And I almost feel like it should be more even than not in the beginning, and allow it to be a situation where whatever comes to be with these two battling at the second and third, positions in terms of reps, whoever's starting to show the most progress, you start giving them more reps.
Yep.
And that's why this makes this such an intriguing battle, because it truly is a battle for a very important backup position. And really, for Malik, just in terms of where he's at, a roster position. And I don't know if Malik becomes quarterback 2, they have to keep Levis on the roster, right? I mean, you'd have to carry 3.
Yeah, you got to.
So
then.
that's why I think a lot of people are almost thinking that aren't Willis fans, well, let's just make it easy and have Levis win the job, because I feel like then it's easier to just say, hey, Malik, go to the practice squad, and that's it. Because if he wins the job, then they're going to be carrying 3 quarterbacks, and that's just an interesting situation in its own right. But I really, truly feel like they're both going to get an even amount of reps, at least to start the camp. And then we'll see how that changes throughout.
Yeah, especially in the preseason games, too.
So when do you start that evaluation process? When is the right amount of time for one player to have enough of a sample size to be outperforming the other and earn more opportunities?
2 weeks.
Okay, I think that's fair.
2 weeks. And then, of course, the first joint practice that they have to.
Yes.
That's a separation,
That's big
too.
right there.
Yep.
That one with Minnesota when they're
Yep.
up in Minnesota first.
The 2 weeks, Will, that you have is all baseline stuff. That's, hey, you versus your teammates. You break them down as much as you possibly can with your growth. That's how it's got to go. And then you get your first step in that Tuesday or Wednesday whenever they go up to Minnesota. All right, now it's competing. This is more of the game than the actual game will be. That's for all the theatrics. They're going to put them in worse situations in those joint practices than they're going to see in the game. Only thing is, it's going to be live. So the protection plays a factor in it when it comes down to the quarterbacks getting hit. The first 2 weeks, Will, is when you start to separate. That's when I noticed in my earlier years, we're just going to beat each other up every day until we get to game planning. When you get to game planning, that's when the coaches will have to decide, Either he can do a lot of the stuff we've been asking him to do, or he can't. So because of that reason, we start to move the line.
And Chad Casual in the F&M Bake chat says it's almost moronic not to carry 3 quarterbacks these days. And we saw it with the San Francisco 49ers in the playoffs, and obviously the situation with that. So I'm curious as to your guys' opinion. Is it moronic not to carry 3? Because I've heard a lot of people say they don't want to see teams carry 3.
I've always been a part of a team that carried 3. I never knew teams liked to carry 2. But you always had the guy as a starter, you have a strong backup, and you have a developmental guy all the time.
But on the roster.
On the roster, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's just not really been the way of life here.
Right.
I do think the interesting thing, too, is rules that have changed in the NFL starting this season for special teams. Yeah. And the fact that the NFL owners voted on a new rule that will make it a touchback at the 25-yard line if the returner makes a fair catch on any kickoff inside the 25, which de-emphasizes keeping special teams aces and special teams captains, so to speak. You're still going to keep your best special teamers, and you want to have those core guys that on punts can still cover. That being said, though, knowing Mike Vrabel, I'll believe it when I see it when they keep 3 quarterbacks. Because of that reason.
Yeah, because, I didn't mean to cut you off there. Yeah. But this is the other portion of what's been done here, too. The last time the Titans have had a validated backup was Marcus Mariota and Ryan Tannehill.
Define validated.
As far as a strong guy that can come in and support the starter. This may be the first year that you have strong guys that can really support the starters. Respectfully, Logan, I'm not ever going to disrespect you when it comes down to you being a pro. But I don't think anybody looked at Logan Woodside and was just like, oh, yeah, that's our guy we got to keep. You have 2 guys right now. You're debating on which 2 do you have to keep between Malik Willis and Will Levis. That's the difference between years past and this year. And the time that you had Marcus Mariota or Ryan Tannehill, like you had a real good 1-2. You know what I'm saying? Like, think about where you are as backups and think about the guys that Brady's had in years past. You know what I'm saying? Like, you had to keep those guys on roster because they can win you games, whether it be Chase Daniels or Brian Hoyer. You had to keep those guys. I even look at it so much so when Brady went to Tampa, Kyle Trask, right? You had to keep him because he was a high draft pick for what you picked him at. Baker, like, think about the guys in the league when you speak about the backup quarterbacks. Most of them have dudes, Gardner Minshew, that can actually sustain you for a while.
I mean, Mariota's now in Philly.
Yeah.
You can say whatever you want about what happened with Mariota last year. And if you saw quarterback, you saw how that played out. But now he continues to be in the league because backups are essential. And you saw it in the offseason.
Yeah.
They were being signed left and right.
Were. So that's the only thing I would say about them keeping 3. This is one of the first times in a while that they've had this many quality guys or guys that you think had a lot of that P word potential.
Let's admit it.
And young too.
So the clock starts in 2 weeks. I think after that first preseason game, whoever performs better between Malik Willis and Will Levis should get the second quarterback reps for that week, and you move forward based on that.
Yeah.
And that will begin in joint practices against Minnesota. It is also a fascinating offseason for Ryan Tannehill. And for me, Ramon, your point, I think, is valid, that adding DeAndre Hopkins does change the conversation around Ryan just a bit. He feels like much less of a lame duck with DeAndre Hopkins than he did without DeAndre Hopkins. Because without D-Hop, we're talking about it's a reset year. This is a total rebuild. Ryan is the holdover to try to get something out of these less than superstar wide receivers and see what happens. But ultimately, this is Will Levis's team, maybe even in 2024. You don't get that vibe as much when you have DeAndre Hopkins, who is a legitimate bona fide star at the wide receiver position and may give you wide receiver 1 level production this season. So that being said, you got to find the balance now in how much this team really believes that Ryan Tannehill could be their quarterback in 2024. Because if he's not, go ahead and give Will Levis the second reps. Give Will Levis some reps with the ones. Go ahead and start that development now. I mean, we might get our first indication this training camp of how much the Titans still believe in Ryan Tannehill and what his leash looks like.
Yep. Yes, you do.
I think this is, again, just my personal opinion. I don't think for now, unless something happens this season and he's injured again and there's a lot of, struggles, I think he's more likely to come back next year than he's not.
Mm-hmm.
At this point.
Yeah.
Especially when you do add DeAndre Hopkins to this roster. Because, again, Mike Vrabel's Mike Vrabel. And no matter what things are thrown at his face in terms of injuries or whatever obstacles, the firing of the GM and getting a new GM, the bottom line is Mike Vrabel wants to freaking win.
Yeah, he does.
And he's going to find any way possible to do it. And so at this point, it is before the season starts, folks. But I would say my bet is more so he stays another year.
For 2024.
Early on.
Y'all think we get an extension throughout camp real quick, though, for anybody? Derek or Tannehill?
Derek, possible, yeah.
Really? You think Derek?
Well, it happened last year. Like right at the start of practices is when he got his pay raise. I mean, they've always done right by Derrick Henry. That was obviously under a different general manager, and we'll see the way Rand Carthon looks at things like that. But it wouldn't surprise me. A Tannehill extension would surprise me.
It would.
Yeah, not right now.
Ryan has no reason to sign that right now because in his mind, you have a great 2023 season, and the Titans aren't the only team that's going to be knocking and trying to offer you a lot of money.
So, well, and that's true. I guess that's what Brady was, right? And I'm not comparing Ryan to him, but like the Patriots could have re-signed Tom Brady before letting him go free agency to Tampa.
The way Ryan's been treated in this market, does Ryan really have a lot of incentive to lock down his future to this franchise right now? I don't think so.
I don't think he does. And some teams somewhere is going to be looking not to pay $52 million a year for a quarterback, too.
Yeah. I mean, the Titans have incentive to extend him out a year and move that cap number around, but if that was a possibility, I think they would have already done it.
Yeah.
615-737-1045, F&M Bank Chat, where you can join in on the discussion on YouTube, Facebook Live, Twitter, or Twitch. I want to ask a question coming up. What happens if Malik Willis does have a great training camp? What ultimately is his future? And is it in two-tone blue? Coming up on Ramon, Kalen, Will.
Hey, now I am joined by certified arborist Dean Glasscock of Arbor Art Tree and Shrub. You guys offering so many services, full service for tree and plant care, Dean. And right now, you guys are hiring as well. What are you looking for, and how can people get involved?
That's right. Just pick up the phone. Call us over here, 615-299-9999. We are located right downtown in Nashville. We're probably about a mile from the heart of town, so real convenient to get here in and out and all of that. So we are looking for truck drivers. We're looking for people that want to be interested. If they're interested in trees, we want to hear from you. We can get you started on a good career path and help you get certified. There's just lots of opportunities going on, and our growth is incredible. We've got a great crew and a great culture here. So again, 615-299-9999. And right now, I'm standing out here by our office looking down on our woodlot. We're processing all kinds of firewoods and getting ready for the winter. So that's just one of the other services we have. So if you need anything with your trees and shrubs, or if you're interested in working, give us a call, 615-299-9999. Thanks a lot. Have a great day.
That is right. 29 years of experience. They are the best. That is Arbor Art Tree and Shrub for exceptional service every single time. Like Dean said, call them 299-9999 or simply log on to arborart.net.
Wednesday morning on our own Kayla and Will, and it's powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. 615-737-1045 here on a hour 3 conversation. You doing karaoke?
I love this song. I was
was
just jiving with this.
I wasn't even trying to right there.
Great song. Coming up in just about 10 minutes, we'll carry Rand Carthon's press conference live here on the station. Here, the Titans GM starting training camp today over at St. Thomas Sports Park. Talking about quarterbacks, we mentioned Malik Willis. If he has a good training camp, should the Titans trade him? Yes or no? Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson.
Yes.
Okay.
Also, that also mean I lose and have to do 50 push-ups too.
That's fine.
Okay.
Kayla?
I still don't know if it would be enough to be like, okay, you're going to get a lot out of it in terms of a trade just because he had a good camp.
Mm-hmm.
And you just never know what's going to happen with Will Levis. Like, the ceiling is high. They obviously drafted him early in the second round. Like, there is every indication for the most part that he's the future, but you just don't know what can happen. And so I think that they should keep Malik and let it figure itself out for at least another year.
Yeah. I have so many other different explanations behind it, but I know random are coming up in a second. But Malik's situation is very just interesting. And I don't think you can – I look at the business side of it is all I'm looking at is the business side of it. If this team historically kept 2, then they may still do those things. If Malik shows progress, how much progress is it going to look like as far as the game goes?
This is also Rand Carthon now as the GM.
And there's no attachment.
Right. And look at the situation with the 49ers when he was there. They carried 3, right?
They did carry 3.
I'm not saying that's going to happen here, but I'm saying there is new thoughts coming into this regime.
Yeah, it is. Malik's situation is just so sticky.
This is a weird thing.
It is.
Let's just admit it. This is a weird situation because you got 2 young QBs that went back-to-back in drafts.
Yep.
It's very bizarre.
The 49ers didn't carry 3 in the NFC Championship game. That's the whole reason this rule exists.
This is because they were on IR or what? Well, Trey Lance?
Brock Purdy and Josh Johnson both got hurt.
Yeesh.
But they just didn't have it. Did they carry 3, though, throughout the season at any point?
That's, again, carrying 3 and carrying 2, though, too, it really just comes down to the make up your roster for the most part, it seems like, is what I'm getting from folks. And what do you think? Like, if you have a quarterback that seems to get injured, which I play with a guy that did most times, 3 made sense, I guess, for us. You know?
Mm-hmm.
This team has kind of leaned on the fact that be run first and the quarterback is a compliment as of late. Ryan Tannehill has just been one of those guys that has been here for a while now. That seems to be a very serviceable, good quarterback that you're in between trying to find out if you want to move on from him or if you want to keep him for a little bit more.
And because they're so young still, like they're still kind of going through the development. And I think it's also kind of unfair since you did draft them, and I know it's 2 different GMs that drafted these guys, but to kind of like cut off that growth now after 2 years, and then clearly you're not going to do that for a rookie in Levis, but that's what makes it unique too. These aren't just old smelly veterans who are in here. These are like 2 young impressionable quarterbacks.
49ers did carry 3 out of camp last year.
Okay.
They did not in the NFC Championship game, which is why this rule exists.
Right.
For Malik, if he has a good camp and Will Levis shows signs of improvement, then if the right offer comes, then I'm trading him. That being said, you would need an incentivized buyer. You would need a team that requires a quarterback, probably because of injury, at this point of the offseason. Teams aren't just going to trade for Malik Willis. They're going to wait for you to potentially cut him.
Right. Team that could, maybe Houston, similar to the starter.
I don't think they would do that within the division. Titans.
No.
We're going to go to break here and come back with Rand Carthon at the podium as he addresses the media live from St. Thomas Sports Park. You'll hear it right here on RKW coming up next. Good morning. I'm Will Bowling. The Titans hit the practice field for the first time in training camp this morning. Yesterday, head coach Mike Vrabel, also wide receiver DeAndre Hopkins, had their first press conferences of camp. Mike Vrabel said that DeAndre Hopkins will miss the first day or two of camp due to personal reasons. You can hear more sound coming up in seconds. Rand Carthon is at the podium speaking to the media as we go to that here in just a moment, live on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone. Into the fourth and final hour of the show. Ramon, Kayla, and Will is powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. And right now, we go live to St. Thomas Sports Park. General Manager Rand Carthon, along with Assistant GMs Chad Brinker and Anthony Robinson, answer questions from the media.
Was build a competitive roster, so we are where we are now, but we're not done.
And the guys that you have here that you're going to try out there.
Well, that's just a part of it. You know, you got to kind of deal with what you're dealt. You know, when MPF's, suspension came, we felt like we have guys here that can step in and compete. And again, it's all about creating competition at every position. So we'll continue to look, at that spot. And hopefully our guys here step up. Again, it's about building, the best 53 that's going to give us a chance to win every week.
What do you think is your Coach Van on that situation? I know he came in for the workout and all.
Yeah, I mean, we brought George in to get a look at him, and that was the extent of it, And
sorry, what do you think Jamarco?
I mean, Jamarco's played a lot of ball in this league. He has versatility, which is, key for the O-line. The name of the game is getting the best, 7 to 8 guys active on game day that could do a bunch of things for you. So, Jamarco's been in there some, playing some right tackle, and so we're confident in him.
Anthony, what's your philosophy of scouting? How do you evaluate your scouts? What do you most want from them?
I think the first thing is you want guys that like playing football, right? And the first thing for us is the people. They're football players, they're people, and we want to make sure that we're bringing in the right people that have the right football character and what we're trying to build here in our culture and our organization.
How would you, Anthony, describe the relationship with Wayne before you got here, and what's the process been like in kind of getting up to speed with this roster while continuing to do your job, different players throughout the league?
Yeah, so like Rand said before, we started together in Atlanta back in 2008. We actually walked in the building together. And from there, we just developed a relationships. Our families are close. His daughters grew up with my daughters. So we've kept that bond throughout, the change. I've been in Atlanta the entire time. He's, been a few stops before getting here, but we made a conscious effort to maintain that relationship. And I think when you're coming into an organization and you're coming in new, you want to bring in people that you trust are going to be able to do the job, execute the vision. And of course, it helps when you have that friendship and that, that relationship.
Chad, is there anything in terms of maybe analytically speaking, in terms of DeAndre that maybe you guys saw, last year that you like particularly that said maybe you still had a highly productive role?
Yeah, I think it's important, with my background with the scouting and also cap and analytics, all of it goes into the decision making. And I think it's important that we all understand it all goes back to the tape. That's where it all starts and that's where it all ends. And Hop is a proven player in this league. We all know that. Of course, yeah, we looked at the analytics. I had Sarah run analytics on him and what that looked like and how what his rim probability is on the field and, how productive he is. And we looked at the GPS and all the things that go with it. Yeah, sure, that's all part of the process. But at the end of the day, we get together as scouts. We evaluate the tape. We get with Coach Mike and his staff. we're really excited to have him here. I mean, he's a great player. When he was out there last year, for the time he was out there, he's still making plays. He has a lot of ability. He's going to continue to do good things for us. We're excited to have him.
Hold on real quick. You guys can ask Chad scouting questions too. He's not just analytics and computer. He can answer the scouting questions too.
What's the season look like for you as far as a scouting standpoint and as you're working with the group?
Well, that is my foundation, is scouting. I was very fortunate to come from a scout-driven organization in Green Bay. You talk around the league, many people will tell you that's probably one of the best scouting organizations in the National Football League. You look how many general managers that he produced since Ron Wolf worked for all those guys, John Schneider to John Dorsey to Reggie McKenzie, with Brian, Ted Thompson was a huge mentor of mine, Russ Ball on the cap side. Come from a great organization, a great foundation, and that is the foundation to why Rand brought me in adding these other pieces. But as far as my fall, the way that's going to look, or my role, it's a really great thing that I have Vin here. Vin's a seasoned veteran. I really trust him. He knows the cap inside and out. He's probably forgotten more cap than I even know. So I have someone I can trust, as well as having Sarah Bailey here to be able to lead a department on the analytics side. So I'm really excited to have her. So that'll free me up to allow me to go out in the fall and evaluate prospects. So I just told A-Rob, hey, just tell me who you want me to go see, and I'll go see him and give my evaluation. So I'm excited about being able to do that as well.
Right. Did you talk to Derek at all about what went on in that running back summit Zoom thing? And just kind of how much have you been following the talk around the league about that?
Yeah, no, that's none of my business. I haven't talked to Derek, about that. As a former running back, I'm biased. I know Chad is a former running back; he's biased as well. It's something that those players are going to have to continue to do whatever it is they do or they're doing to figure out what's best for them. But to answer your question, I hadn't talked to Derek about it.
How do you feel about the depth of this team,
Again, I feel like for where we are right now, I think we have quality depth, all the way around. But, like I'll continue to say, we're going to always continue to look to improve it and always continue to look to add competition at each and every spot.
Do you have certain positions where you kind of want to see what you've got in young guys and then potentially could make a move midway through camp or into camp to bolster spots? Or how much of camp is about feeling good about what you have and then decide whether you'll go get something else?
Yeah, I don't think we're going in at a mind frame of, let's see what position X has, for the first week, and if it's not there, then let's move on. I think some of these young guys that have come in, I think they've earned, the opportunity to compete and show what they have, and we know that that's going to be, a process. Some of these, kids, this is their first time around. None of these rookies have ever been in full pads in the NFL setting. So that'll work itself out. And again, with A-Rob, with Chad, and, our whole staff, we're going to continue to monitor, players as they come free. Again, we have the 53-man roster cut down, which is going to, be a wild and crazy time, with all those players coming free and take advantage of our order in the claim.
I know it's early, but with the third quarterback situation, weighing that against a sixth receiver or a fifth safety or whatnot, how tough is it to weigh that value, for some of those final rosters?
I don't think it's tough. I think it's one of those things where, I think every team in the league, because it's a new rule, I think every team in the league is going to weigh that, and it's a puzzle. It's playing with pieces. One thing I learned from Kyle Shanahan, it's not always a one-for-one. You're not going to cut a receiver for a receiver. Adding a receiver may cost you a DB or it may cost you a D lineman. Our job is to put the best 53, and not necessarily we have to have X amount at this position. So we're going to build the best 53 and just go from there.
What changed in terms of going back to Kevin Byard and getting him to rework his deal in order to help bring DeAndre Hopkins on board?
I think KB is the consummate pro. You guys know KB, better than I have because you've been around him a lot longer. When I think of KB, I think of, just professionalism, a guy who puts his team first, a guy that's all about his team. And we're very appreciative of his willingness to work with us, to restructure his deal that gave us the space and room to sign Hop.
Ryan, last year obviously ended before the
basically turned over about half the roster. Do you view this as kind of a total reset of that, or how did you balance putting your stamp on the roster versus building off of what Mike's built here?
Well, again, it wasn't just myself. Mike's my partner. We do everything together. There won't be a player that we bring in that we're all in agreement on, that can help us. Again, I've always said, I feel like I'm in a very unique position coming in as a first-time GM and having someone as established as Mike, in here already. And so it's a culture and what it means to be a Titan, what it looks like. And for me and these guys, because we're all new, we're just coming in following the blueprint, knowing what it is that we're looking for, which makes it easy. We have, vets at key spots, that have been very productive, in this league. And, we're just not in the business of giving away good football players.
Rand, what are the expectations for the progress from now until the end of camp for
It's no different from any other player. Improve, play fast, and be ready when your name is called. It's really as simple as that. We're not putting any more pressure on Will than we would put on, Peter or, anyone else, for that matter. It's the name of the game is coming in, being able to play fast, execute your assignment, and do it to the best of your ability.
And when it comes to the Hassan Haskins situation, you guys let everything play out legally before any kind of a decision is made, or can you make any kind of decision before, if you feel like you have enough information?
I think as a whole, as an organization, we have our core philosophy and beliefs, and it's a situation that we take very, very seriously. But also, we have to let due process run its course, and we have to gather, all the facts. It's not as, we're playing with people's lives here, and so in order to do so, I feel like we, have to have all the facts before we make a decision, and that's our approach. We've been in contact with Hassan, throughout this process, and, we'll continue to let the process run its course, and from there we'll make a decision.
Guys good? All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
There is Titans general manager Rand Carthon, along with assistant GMs Chad Brinker and Anthony Robinson, addressing the media this morning as training camp practices begin. Will Bowling, Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson with you, and Jackson Williams, our producer. Rand Carthon with a number of interesting comments there, but I thought specifically, guys, what he said about Kevin Byard stood out to me. Calling Kevin Byard the consummate professional, appreciates his willingness to work with the team in order to give them room to sign DeAndre Hopkins.
Well, we got the answer to that. Where was the money coming from, right? It was KB doing it again as far as, like you said, just being an overall team player and truly a businessman too. Decisions had to be made by him and his family as far as Byard's concerned to say, yeah, we're willing to do this, because I've seen guys and myself taking less to win.
Yeah.
It sucks, losing and having to be a part of, hey, everybody's getting fired next year situation. So good for Rand and Vrabel and Byard and his family being a part of, that restructure that they asked of him.
Well, and good for Rand to probably see, like he said, it could have went so many different ways probably when he approached Kevin initially, asking him to take a pay cut. Look, players all have different personalities. They go about their business in different ways. I'm sure that this was quite impressionable on Rand Carthon in terms of his first impression of how Kevin Byard, deals with the situation. And I'm not saying that if it went the other way, it should have been looked at as bad, but now moving forward, at least for now, I feel like he's going to have the utmost respect for KB.
Oh, 100%. What's to come after this year, who knows? But you're right, Kayla. And, of course, with Titans Nation, too, he's gained a whole lot more stock in the hearts of fans of the Titans with what KB's done.
Rand Carthon also commenting on running backs and says himself and assistant GM Chad Brinker, running backs themselves, so they're biased towards the running back position, but also saying that he has not spoken to Derrick Henry about that famed Zoom call between all those running backs, says it's none of his business.
I think everybody know, and Rand's in a position now, or as he's on the management side of things, even more so being a GM, it wouldn't benefit Rand much at all commenting like, yeah, they deserve this, or, it's a shame. Like, he was like, I understand the climate of it, and I get it. If he was still playing, his tone may be a little bit different than what he put out here in the presser. But we'll see how the Titans actually take care of running backs moving forward. Yep.
Mm-hmm. And he also mentioned, we're not into giving away good players. Like, look, let the best man win, because that could also go in the way of the quarterback position. And if Malik continues to show progress, I feel like they could very well keep those 3 quarterbacks this year.
Well, coming up, Kayla, you are headed to St. Thomas Sports Park.
Yeah.
What are you looking for first and foremost today?
I mean, honestly, first and foremost, because I don't think D-Hop will be out there today.
No.
According to Mike Vrabel yesterday, my eyes are on the offensive line. Automatically, who's taking reps in that right tackle spot? I know this is me now, a offensive line junior of Ramon Foster.
Honestly.
Will and I are adopted offensive
Seriously.
line juniors here.
It's crazy.
So that's where my eyes are going, and then just seeing these guys where they picked up from off of mini camp, right? The Ryan Tannehill, the connection with Traylon Burks, but look, I can't lie. The line's going to be on my mind, and I want to see that defensive front and see how early the battle starts with them.
I was just thinking that too. Like, they got a lot of stuff to figure out on the OL, but they got some bullies on the defense that just trying to force them to grow up fast.
Yep.
All right. Well, Kayla, we will talk to you tomorrow morning.
Yes.
Enjoy practice.
Thank y'all.
Yeah. I might see
you guys. Yeah, I was going to say.
Absolutely.
Coming up, Scout Meeting Wednesday, a self-scout of the Tennessee Titans. Ramon Foster takes us inside the film room as an opponent would watch the Titans film. What does he see? Coming up next on RKW. Hey, it's Will Bowling here for my friends at Brentwood Hearing Center, who understands choosing a hearing care provider is a big decision. And Brentwood Hearing Center's #1 priority is delivering exceptional patient care. Their staff combines many years of expertise in hearing healthcare and is well-trained on a variety of services ranging from evaluations to treatment. And at Brentwood Hearing Center, they understand that there is no cookie-cutter approach to better hearing. So you need to go to BrentwoodHearingCenter.com or call them at 615-377-0420 to find out more. If there's someone you know or if yourself are having trouble hearing in crowded environments. Brentwood Hearing Center believes great care includes establishing great relationships with their patients. That's why they've been proudly serving Brentwood from the same location for more than 30 years. Right off the Brentwood Old Hickory exit, I-65. You can't miss them right there. 615-377-0420. That's where you need to go. And their staff is here to support you, not only during your initial visit, but throughout your entire journey to better hearing. BrentwoodHearingCenter.com. That's the website. Over 30 years, one home. That's Brentwood Hearing Center. Better hearing, better life. Continue in hour 4 on your Wednesday morning. It's Ramon and Kayla and Will, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. Rand Carthon having his first press conference as a Titans general manager and to open a training camp, to which he said, I ain't never did this before.
He has not.
You got what I'm.
I ever did
Reference
this
to the
before.
song.
Hey, yep, that's the cold world, man.
I know ball.
You know ball a little bit. Yep.
Day 1 of practice as a veteran. We talked about yesterday, and I love doing this with you in general.
Yeah.
Kayla Anderson on her way to the practice field. Will Bowling and Ramon Foster with you. Of going back to what it was like hitting different checkpoints in your NFL career.
Mm-hmm.
So if day 1 of reporting was 30 by 110, which still exhausts me just thinking about
it, right?
What would your mentality be like today? I imagine you're still excited and ready to get back out there today. How long does that new school feeling last?
It lasts for the entire day. Probably by the end of the first practice.
That's it?
Yeah.
Oh,
no,
gosh.
seriously. Because as a vet, everything becomes the same as repetition. That's what coaches want, right? The consistency of whatever the schedule is. You leave the plane the same time. You go to meetings the same time. One of the most predictable things is knowing that the head coach is probably going to be the first one in the weight room at every NFL team. You know what I'm saying? So the practice has got to be the exact same way so that players know what to expect. But after the first practice, all right, y'all, we're here again, and then it becomes all right. Well, the grudging feeling that you have about the first day in pads.
Yeah,
those first 2 you knock out, bang, cool. All right, whatever. I think it is exciting going to the first team period. That's where, especially if you're a guard or interior guy, knowing that look, I know we're not in pads. But guess what? The physicality of play will still be there. I know Big Jeff is probably going to run down the middle of, a guard or center chest. I know that, the Nico Archer is going to rush and, go shoulder to shoulder with a guy. Not intentionally, but it's just one of those situations where let's get these butterflies out the way. And it really kind of fades away, Will, by the end of the first practice. It's kind of where you are because it's football at that point. You've been playing, and most of us were playing it since we were at least in the 7th grade. A lot to digest on the first day.
It's just funny. It's I thought it would have lasted maybe a week or 2 weeks. I'm it's great to be out here with my friends.
Heck no.
No, one day, this is terrible.
No, because on the first day you see so much. You see the rookies, what they look like. You see the coaches get super fired up about it. And then, of course, I think football and maybe most practices, too. I'm not sure how it is for basketball guys or baseball guys, but the excitement of being around your friends, heck, you've probably been talking to them the entire time, or whenever we just get the first physical aspect of training camp out the way. And that'll be in the first team periods.
So it is time, Ramon Foster, for a little bit of Scout Meeting Wednesday. This has been our theme of the offseason and of the last month of scouting Titans opponents. Well, today we do a self-scout, but in a different way because you have scouted the Tennessee Titans in the way opponents will scout them this season. Jackson Williams, hit the music.
This is a segment of the scouting. We shall review a team like a coach does on Wednesdays during the season. They are the best team you will face all year. That's because on any given Sunday or off season, you can get your position you may make you mad and leads you to think your team doesn't stand a chance in 2023. You know what? Yeah, here we go. Here we go, baby.
Coach Foster is at the chalkboard.
I love scout meeting stuff because when we talk about film, I'm like, oh, look at this move right here. Could have did this.
Well, yeah, because half the time you're watching film as we're doing the radio show. You'll I'll be in the middle of a sentence. You're just like, oh, Daly can't get beat like that.
I did it on the QB thing on Netflix. When Patrick Mahomes was breaking down film, he was talking about the safety on the edge. He was like, well, I love that. Okay, so film study does it for me. But 2023 Titans, 7-9 in 2022, missed the playoffs. Boom. Head coach Mike Vrabel, we know and appreciate what he's done here. Titans strengths. I'm starting just right there, Will. Mike Vrabel. It starts with his identity and it shows on film. You know what type of player he was, and I put this in my notes. Former player coaches seem to play with more edge than non-player head coaches. It just seems to be that way. There's an edge, there's an expectation, and Vrabel is the leader of what that expectation is, which is why Rand even said in his press conference a second ago, he's honored to be with a guy that's been here for so long because he's teaching him the ropes and the expectation. I just put that in there because Vrabel is just as much as a strength for this team, the same way Belichick is, Andy Reid is, Mike Tomlin is, some of the good coaches in this league, right? Vrabel is one of those strengths. Leading right there into the next strength for this Titans team, Derrick Henry. 349 carries last year, 4.4 yards a carry for him. I think he'd want to get that up. Finished with over 1,500 yards, 13 touchdowns. And this is the part that Rhett brought up too earlier when we had him on. He had 398 yards receiving. If that can evolve a little bit more, that's something I would be looking for if I'm a team that's about to play the Titans. Hey, look, Derrick kind of started off last year catching the ball out the outfield a little bit more. We need to watch that.
I imagine, too, on film, you're seeing the tendencies the Titans use to get him the football in space, and you're seeing a lot of screen passes that you could telegraph a little bit, to be quite honest. That, to me, looking back at some of the film and watching this team a season ago, when you had two backs in the backfield, about half the time it was a screen pass to one of those guys, and usually it was Derrick Henry. And it feels like that has to be a point of emphasis this season. Make it less obvious when you're trying to throw it to him.
Yep. 100%, man. And I put in my notes about him, if I was a coach covering this team, still top 5 in NFL. Yeah. Probably top 3 if we're being honest with ourselves. To win against the Titans, be stronger than he is, which means you got to be willing to tackle him play after play after play because he is a run by himself type of running back as it stands. We don't know what it's going to look like under Tim Kelly. Next strength for this team is kind of polarizing. Ryan Tannehill.
Okay.
Not many franchise quarterbacks entered the last year of a deal without an extension, and he's there. I expect him to be different this year. The team went 7-9 with him in and out of the lineup last year, missing 5 games, injuries with the ankle. We know what that was caused by, protection. Again, don't let this guy lull you to sleep. He is a runner. I expect him to run more this year. Can he pass? He can pass the ball around the field and has more weapons in 2023 than he did in 2022. This could be a good year for him. Again, 65% completion last year, 13 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. That's the number we're watching if Tim Kelly decides to go more through the air. 13-6. If we can get that number to what? 25-9, Will? 25-8? You're playing good ball if you're Ryan Tannehill.
And that's the question about this team that is the question of the offseason end of 2023. Is Ryan Tannehill a legitimate franchise quarterback? You are saying from the film room perspective, when you watch the tape and when an opponent looks at this Titans team like they would on a Tuesday or Wednesday preparing for what's to come, that he is a franchise quarterback according to that film in a Titans uniform.
100%. 100%. Will not minimize his role whatsoever. And this is also what coaches would do. Ryan Tannehill is the best quarterback you've ever seen in your life this week.
Yeah.
And because of that, he's dangerous, all right? And his legs. That's the portion of it where extension of plays, you don't fall asleep on that. Next strength for this team is this, DeAndre Hopkins. Reputation precedes him, right? Another weapon with a prove-it contract for Tannehill. They're in the same boat. Played only 9 games, but had 717 yards on the sputtering offense in Arizona. Catch radius is insanely good. That in itself is a problem.
So when you watch DeAndre Hopkins and from what you have told us and from what you tell the listeners when we do Scout Meeting Wednesday, when you talk about specific players, you begin with list of guys we can't let beat us.
Yes, sir.
DeAndre Hopkins is right behind Derrick Henry on that list, in your opinion.
Yes, indeed. And because offensively, this is what drives this team. Those two guys, as we know, and we're going through strengths and weaknesses of these teams.
Sure.
And next on that totem pole is, and this should be at the top possibly, but Jeffrey Simmons and Kevin Byard. Prepare for pain is what I had. I could break down the entire defense of what to expect from player to player, but it starts with these two. Prepare for pain and destruction on each play with this Titans defense. Nothing more, nothing less. The defense revolves around Jeff and the leadership of Kevin Byard also. You understand the identity of these two dudes, always available, always on, and always looking to make a play. That's what you're getting out of the DNA of what this defense is. And the last thing is this, man, strength as far as this Titans team go. If I'm breaking them down on their strengths, run offense and run defense. They take pride in both of those things, okay? Not many teams run the ball like the Titans at the volume that they do, so prepare for a physical game. You'll be sore next week. We got ice tubs and cryotherapy for you, okay? But prepare for a smaller number of possessions as a team because they do run the ball. So our offense, if I'm speaking as the other team, I'm doing this like a coach. Our offense, take care of each possession. We can't lose the ball, which the Titans will make you do. All right. They also stopped the run well. If I'm not mistaken, I think they had the number 1 run defense last year.
It was between 1 and 2 pretty much all season.
Yeah.
Going back and forth. Yeah.
So if you can't run the ball against them, you better be prepared to throw it through the air, and that's what Kevin Byard comes into play, which will lead us to the other side of the weaknesses for the Titans.
They were number 1, yes, by 14 yards over the 49ers.
And I think they were top 10 as run offense too.
Yep.
So we're talking about possessions here.
Yeah, we are. And I think you make a good point that teams are coming into games against the Titans with that pressure of you might not get a lot of chances.
Right.
You might not get a lot of reps. And I think that's where the script flipped a little bit last season. The Titans were among the teams with the most percentage of 3 and outs.
Yeah.
Last year that this team was not playing enough complementary football.
Right.
To help a defense that I think we all believe could take a step forward if they get a little help this season and stay healthy in the defensive secondary. So those are the strengths that a coach is going to start by talking about. And correct me if I'm wrong, a coach does start with the strengths of a team when they start the scout, right? You're not starting with their weaknesses.
No.
You're starting with this is what we have to take away, not this is what we're going to take advantage of.
Oh, no doubt about it. And what's so wild about it, the head coach is the one that paints them as the best team you're going to see. That's why the intro was what it was. We didn't really go through the tendencies. We did those in the individual meetings, like position meetings.
Sure.
But for the sake of us doing this show, though, we will say flaws instead of weaknesses, too. Are you cool with that? Flaws instead of weaknesses?
That's fine.
Flaws. All right. So first flaw, Will, pains me to say it, offensive line. And hear me break it down real quick. Hard to say they are a flaw because they do have talent. But hear me out. New left tackle, new left guard. Last year's left guard is now the center. Right guard is new, and your second-year right tackle is suspended for 6 games. So your right tackle is also new. A lot of talent, but a ton of work to be done. You feel comfortable with that?
Yeah, I mean, it is to me, if I'm a defensive coach, I'm salivating at the opportunities you have to take away all those strengths just by beating a brand new offensive line.
Brand new, man. And I know Brew is there and everything, but Brew is left guard now playing center.
Yep.
A whole lot of pressure on him to make sure the center snap is there too. But also I put in here too, and I felt dirty about doing it, but middle linebackers.
Money Rice, weaknesses go?
As far as flaws, weaknesses go. Yeah. Because they got to prove it, Will. I think Money Rice and Aziz Al-Shaair, have played in this league, but can they handle the whole season of starting? Money Rice, Aziz also, and also backing up that defensive front. Like, there's pressure making sure that, look, if Big Jeff and Tierra Tar are funneling tackles to you, can you get off a block and actually make those tackles? We got to see that this year. And I know they can play. Money Rice, I'm high on. Kid out of Georgia. Aziz also has played enough in this league. But can you make those plays for this defensive front that really be a tackling machine? And then this is the other part, other flaw, too, offensive play calling. Not sure what Tim Kelly's playbook looked like. I think Todd Downing last year carried the water for the most part of the season. Will he go to more passing? Can this offensive line protect Tannehill long enough for him to spin the ball down the field if that's what Tim Kelly wants to do? Another flaw, uncertainty that this team has to answer. And just moving down my list too, secondary depth. This camp needs to have 2 other guys come out of it who can back up Byer, Hooker, Fulton, McCrary, and if Elijah Molden can stay healthy, who's behind that crew, Will?
Man, and Molden is a guy that we feel like we don't talk about Elijah Molden hardly at all anymore.
Not enough, right?
Because Roger McCreary was serviceable at outside corner last year, and I think we've all just assumed, okay, Sean Murphy Bunting coming in, he's your second corner, and Roger McCreary can play his more natural position inside, but it does feel like that if the Titans stay healthy at corner, which we go into every training camp saying, at corner they have more depth now than they have in past years. That can change in a hurry because Molden and Christian Fulton have each been very injury prone.
Mm-hmm.
But to me, the issue is with the depth at safety.
Yeah.
And the Titans did add A.J. Moore today, who played, has been a special teams guy really his whole career, an undrafted guy coming out of Ole Miss. But the secondary depth, you need somebody else to be that Andrew Adams.
Yeah.
A season ago, had
Yes,
the pick
sir.
six to beat the Indianapolis Colts. And, that's not a guy we were talking about at the beginning of camp. You had to make a move to go get him.
Yes, sir.
And you made a number of moves a season ago, adding other safeties, and you added Ugo Amadi, who ended up not making the team out of camp, and you made some of those changes. I think that's one position, specifically when you talk about flaws, where the entire room has not yet been assembled.
Thank you. And that's all, and that's what I'm hoping camp is for, right, Will? And I finish with this. Another flaw to his health. We've spoken about this a lot, right? Here or there, it's football. Can their physical play be sustained while having minimal injuries this year? And I just summarize this scout meeting by saying this: never sleep on the Titans if I'm a coach. That's where I'm at. Not sure what they're going to be offensively, but prepare to battle Vrabel and his defensive-minded bunch along with the running game. I know those are the strong suits that we have to battle if I'm a team going up against this team. Me personally, that's how I view it. This will be a week for me of all recovery, Will. Making sure that, hey, knees feel good, muscles are loose, like Blaine said, and the pressure that we have running around here, so that I can be quick and understand after the game is going to be physical. Like, I'm going to be sore. That's my scout meeting of how I break down the Titans this year. And, of course, I missed Chig. Didn't talk enough about Tierra. I know there's a lot of guys I missed, but this is a short version of it.
Well, and on strengths and weaknesses, too, I imagine in the entire team meeting, you're looking at the headlines on each side.
Oh, yeah.
You get into position groups and you get into offensive line meeting rooms and defensive line meeting rooms and things like that. Then you're going to dive more into the specifics on each player that you're going to see and the tendencies and obviously what they want to do. But I think it is interesting from your perspective, just the Ryan Tannehill part of it. That if you're an opponent scouting the Titans, Ryan Tannehill is someone you have to take away and minimize.
Oh, yeah.
And he's not seen as a weakness, he's seen as a strength.
He's a strength.
I think this fan base would often lead you to believe the opposite.
But see, this is what will happen. So we would maximize all his strengths as far as like what he does well and figure out to your point, Will, those finite little, in between quirks that he would do that you would attack. But to the normal eye, normal fan watching them, you only see the interception. What you don't see is how he probably commands the offense and the way he can fit the ball in tight windows and what he's capable of doing with his legs. Like, that's the thing about being an NFL starting quarterback in this league. He's proven to be able to make plays. And I would also caution my team as it is. Don't look at what they did last year. He had hardly no weapons. Right now, you got a bona fide wide receiver and DeAndre Hopkins. You have a young guy who's on his way in Traylon Burks. You got Chig. You also have young guys who can play the slot, just watching what they can do. And then, of course, having Derek and Tajay. We didn't even mention Tajay in the scout meeting breakdown, Will. Like, so say what you want to about the 2022 version of Ryan Tannehill, but a team scouting him would tell you this. And I played with a quarterback that told the front office, I need more weapons. I think Rand and Vrabel kind of answered that call a little bit this offseason, specifically in the month of July.
And speaking to that also, it shows you that as rookies and as undrafted, as guys that haven't yet proven it in the NFL, you've got to put something on tape in order to gain that level of respect.
Yeah, you do.
And while we talk about Tajay Spears and Josh Wiley and Chig
yeah.
Second-year guys, you're not making the headlines of a scout meeting until you prove it for a couple games and prove it for really a full season or two also.
Facts.
So I think that's fair. 615-737-1045 is the number if you want to jump in. Headlines we missed on the way out. A final preview of Titans practice today. Of course, a full recap tomorrow morning courtesy of Kayla Anderson, who should be arriving at St. Thomas Ports Park right about now. And we'll wrap up the show, get you ready for what you can hear on the Buck Rising Show and who you can hear from after practice. Coming up next on RKW.
It's Ramon Foster for Zen Sports, here to tell you about Zen Sports, the new sports betting app in Tennessee, revolutionizing sports betting rewards. Yes, rewards. What have I told you that you're wasting your time and money betting on any sports book that's not Zen Sports? Zen Sports offer real cash rewards for those lucky enough to be in Tennessee, and that means no funny money, points, or credits. For a welcome bonus, you can earn 5% cash back on every bet you place for the first 15 days on Zen Sports, with no limit on your bonus when you use a referral bonus code. And earn up to 3% cash back on your bets after that with Zen Sports loyalty programs. So make the switch today and start betting on Zen Sports. Your wallet will thank you, okay? And if you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-889-9789. Terms and conditions apply. Must be 20 years or older and present in Tennessee to bet.
Wrapping up the show on Ramon, Kayla, and Will, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. Kayla Anderson at St. Thomas Sports Park. Will Bowling and Ramon Foster with you here for one final segment. 615-737-1045. We now again have the ability to take your phone calls with things wide open for a couple more minutes. The final call for phones where Ryan is in Nashville. Up next with us here this morning. What's up, Ryan? Ryan, you got us?
Yes, sir. Can y'all hear me?
Go. Yeah, we got you.
We got you.
Go ahead.
I'm a big Steelers fan, and I was wondering if the Titans have that Cam Hayward on the team, the one that seems like every year Cam, I don't want to say fight, but starts like an altercation to get practice riled up and get it going. Do the Titans have that player?
Yes, they do. By the name of Jeffrey Simmons. He's that guy that does that type of stuff. They've kind of always had a guy like that, too. If it wasn't for him, it was either Jarrell Casey was an agitator, Wesley Woodyard was an agitator like that. Those guys are a necessary part of the DNA of a team. Trust me, I knew some of those Steelers linemen that played against Big Jeff. That's what he did against them in a game.
Thank you for the call, Ryan.
Yeah,
Appreciate
thanks
it.
for the call, Ryan.
It's a good question, and that is the answer. Yes.
That's the answer.
Jeffrey Simmons is that guy on and off the field.
Nobody offensively is there, is it?
I mean, you would have said Lawan.
Yeah.
As far as trash talkers on offense,
Just
now
wanna stir up stuff.
I kind of need one to emerge on the offensive line.
Brew, he's a guy that plays with a chip on his shoulder. Aaron
Brewer
Bruder
certainly plays with a chip on his shoulder. That's right.
You got to be overly confident and good to be doing that on the field, though.
Because it needs to be a lineman.
It has to be.
You got to have an enforcer. Like, is Andre Dillard that personality? Nicholas Petit-Frere definitely isn't that personality.
From what I heard, Dillard's more chill.
Yeah.
You said NPF is not?
That's not the vibe I get.
Okay.
I don't see him as a trash talker.
Yeah.
I think Derrick Henry's probably that guy a little bit.
Yeah, Derrick just don't play. Like, that's the thing. Like,
he doesn't have to say much.
He got to say, who was he talking to? He was like, hey, bro, like, you can stop doing all the extra stuff one time. It was in a game where guys, it was Earl Thomas. Yes. He was just like, bro,
he was a lead blocker.
Cool. Be cool. And then he made him a lead blocker.
Turned him into a fullback.
You're right. MPF is a little bit more reserved. I said we're getting some responses in the F&M Bank chat. Says Skoronski is a nasty dude.
I could see Skoronski growing into that guy, absolutely.
But talker, though, too?
Absolutely.
Do you have to be both?
Absolutely. Yep.
Oh.
Well, you don't have to be, but
okay.
I could see that happening.
Yeah. I ain't gonna lie. I talked. Was I nasty when I talked? It depends on who I was playing against.
Yeah. Well, what was your go-to thing to say?
My go-to thing, the best thing to say, dude, we didn't even study. You don't film this week. Like, I'm surprised you're kind of out here right now. Like that. Or just tell them, hey, we're about to run the ball right here. There's nothing you can do.
Would you do the thing where you would like crane your neck to see someone's number?
Yes.
Be like, well, what's his number? I didn't see you on film.
Yeah, it'd always be somebody I know too. It was like, hey, what? He's with y'all because I realized like he played this much.
That's the funniest thing too. That's my favorite like Cam Newton moment.
Yeah,
was like Luke Kuechly, or not Luke Kuechly. It was somebody on defense. Was like, it's like they're running the ball, they're running it. He goes, "Oh, you watch film? Hey, me too. Ready?" And then like they throw it for a touchdown.
Yeah, was it the 49ers?
They go, "It's that out route. It's that out route." And then it was an angle route, and they just
He told me, "Well, you watch film, huh? Watch this."
Yeah.
Then he darted them right there, man.
Like, would you ever laugh hearing players try to call out what y'all could do and be like, y'all have no idea what we're about to do?
Or when the best one is when they try to hide what they're about to do. Like, we just point up like, hey, look at his hands right here. He's leaning. You're super wide and he's super tight. Like, I would break him down and tell them exactly what they're about to do.
It was funny in Quarterback on Netflix. Patrick Mahomes talked about that in the Super Bowl. I don't know if you've gotten to this point yet.
I hadn't just said, but go ahead.
It's the last episode. I'm not really spoiling anything because we all watched it. But they tried to run that tackle-eligible throw in the red zone to Andrew Wiley, their tackle.
Mm-hmm.
And they did that. They called it Pokemon because apparently Andrew Wiley's a big Pokemon fan. And they like ran a circle around him and then sprinted to the line. And somebody immediately calls out, watch the tackle. They're going to throw it to him. And Patrick was just like, immediately knew I was going to have to throw the ball away. It's like immediately like, well, this didn't work. We practiced this all week. We named it. We had this whole thing. We finally figured it out in the red zone. And then, hey, they're throwing it to the tackle. Like, dang it.
It happens, man. Yeah. It's, golly. Like, I miss more of that type stuff, the chess. You know what I'm saying? The chess game of football more than almost anything else because the physical part handles itself. You know what I'm saying? Like you talking about your cross country, like I didn't realize like y'all elbowed.
Absolutely.
Like the running took care of itself, right?
Here, bow.
Yeah. So that's always fascinating. The little quirks and secrets behind the game. Yeah, man.
Coming up on the Buck Rising show today, you can hear cornerback Sean Murphy bunting. He will be live at the table as Buck Rising tries not to be distracted by all of the happenings going on in practice. We're looking forward to listening in.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Absolutely. So you can hear that at 11 o'clock. Post-practice pressers. Say that 5 times fast. Post-practice pressers. Post-practice pressers.
I don't want to say
That's a hard one.
Yeah, that's tough.
Make sure we don't have to use the dump button. I don't know why we would. But 11 o'clock, Sean Murphy bunting, post-practice pressers. Woo! At 11:30 on the Buck Rising show. We made it, friends.
We did, y'all.
It's football time at St. Thomas Sports Park. We are back at it tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. We will have a full report from Kayla Anderson and Ramon Foster from the practice field. We will get Coach Dave McGinnis into the conversation. We're back, baby.
We back.
Ramon Foster, send us home.
I thought you was going to say it's football time in Tennessee. We're not there yet for that one specifically. But please remember, y'all, your Twitter fingers and your mic is always hot.